Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's time. It's stream time. It's time for us to stream. Wow, crazy how that works. Um, Hope you're all doing well. I feel like I'm having a very good day today. I'm a little bit tired because I actually did kind of a lot of stuff this morning, but I'm. It's like tired in that like, oh man, that was fun, and I used a lot of energy, But I'm excited to do show with you today. Where's chat? I need the feed. There's the feed. Okay. Getting everything in order, getting everything put in its proper place. Hopefully the volume is good. I did have some weirdness when I recorded some videos yesterday where the audio did come out super quiet. So then I double checked that my drivers are up to date and they say they're up to date. So hopefully nothing is too crazy. Hello, hello, hello. What's up, Drea? Baphomet. We got riffs, no leads. Hello. I'm trying, with the titles of the streams, it's always kind of a game that you have to play of how much clickbait should I do versus how honest should I be about what the show is? You know, do I want people to click thinking it's going to be something that it isn't? I don't know. So today we're just going, politics, gaming, trends, news, etc. Get in here. That's like I feel like today is as honest as it gets as far as the stream title goes. What's up, Quantum Chaos? Has Light Wolf in the YouTube chat as Nikki. Yeah. The stream for Horties. The stream chosen specifically to entertain the Horties. The Horties stream is true. When I set up the memberships on YouTube, because obviously I've got the stream chat stuff, and then I'm changing things on the main channel. So the main channel is a little bit more like, which direction? Yes, I want this like that a little bit. Okay. It's Muses. If you join the memberships on YouTube, which is the thing where you pay a subscription fee every month, basically, or I guess you can only do it for 1 month. That's fine too. But you get the benefits for 30 days, and it's like a fun color name and access to the custom emojis and stuff like that. But that is Muse, is how I have that set up. It's not Horties, but then the Horties is like the live stream stuff. I don't know. Anyway, yes, what are we musing over today? Clickbait away or don't, we come either way. True. Appreciate you, Ember. Salute you. Oh yeah, I might be on Takis tomorrow. I'm not scheduled originally to be on Takis tomorrow, but Ben is not going to be able to make it, so I think that I'm going to try to rotate in. So you'll be seeing me on Takis 3 times this month. Thank you, Riffs No Leads, for the $5 dono. It says going for the flex. We stand our dragon streamer. Yes. So I actually am planning to start a new exercise thing tomorrow. So it'll be like workout Thursday, Friday, Saturday, rest day on Sunday, then workout the next 2 days, and then rest day on Wednesday. And I'm gonna basically like start trying to like build the muscles up, and it's gonna be good. So if we get to the stream goal today, which is $100, I will flex and show off the muscles, and it'll be kind of like a little uh, before progress. Like I have not been working out very much for the past 5 months, so we will flex if we get to the stream goal. There we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And there's chat. All right, you're back. Back. Guess who's back again. Triple Takis, but hope Dr. Ben is okay, especially all this dumb stuff with the trans military. Yeah, I know that it's a tense time for any trans service members, and Ben, is in a tough spot. Now, we can be grateful that as a doctor, Ben has a lot of skills that are going to be useful in a civilian sector. So we can hope that, as far as employment goes, he can continue to work. Just finding some job at a nice hospital or something, But That doesn't make it less stressful to have that feeling of like, oh, I might lose my job imminently. And the potential of getting served up a dishonorable discharge, not not a good moment. So uh I think that might have been the only time he was scheduled this month. So actually let me double check that. I want to know what the schedule is like on Takis this month to communicate it to you all. And speaking of Takis, and therefore speaking of arguing with oppositional individuals, there was that person who was bugging me on Blue Sky earlier this week, um, who was, yeah, is today the debate with that person. If they show up, I mean, for some reason they could not figure out how to work Discord. So that's the only way that I have to take a call. So if they don't figure it out, then I can't take their call. But that, ostensibly, there was somebody who was bothering me about the whole trans sports issue, and they didn't like the arguments that I set forth on the Transatlantic Call-In show. So I figured it could be fun to go in a little bit more detail on, I mean, I originally was just like, well, you should call in. If you didn't like my opinion on the show, you should call and flesh out your disagreements with me on the show. And they were like, well, I don't want to go on Takis. I'd prefer to go on your show. And then it came out later in the conversation. They were like, actually, I am already banned from calling into the call-in show. I'm like, oh, okay. So you've already demonstrated that there's something that you're doing that is not good. Because you're like, normally we don't ban people. Like, as far as I am only aware of like one person that we've straight up been like, we are no longer taking their calls, or we're banning them, basically. And it was Matthew, who we took like 12 calls from him. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but we spoke to him like at least 7 or 8 times and tried to hash out the disagreements, and we just clearly weren't getting anywhere. But it was like months of talking to someone who disagreed with us before we banned them, because I'm like, frankly, my reasoning for banning Matthew was because I think that we were feeding his OCD. Like, I think that he had some kind of issue where he was like, he had like an intrusive thought, or like a thought that he couldn't stop grinding away at regarding trans people, and that like calling us was reinforcing that for him. I'm not sure what exactly was going on, but yeah, it was rough. So we had a good reason for dumping him. Baphomet says, musing over the new Ghost song. It goes so hard. I've heard that Ghost is good. I have never listened to them, but I've heard that they're very good. Ooh, fun. I got my new driver's license. So I feel like it's official, I got my new driver's license. We've been here for more than a month, and I am officially a resident of the West Coast. We still haven't gone to the ocean yet, but I'm waiting until there's like a really beautiful day in Tillamook to go. I'm a sister of the cloth. I feel like, it's funny? When I meet someone through my trans friends, I assume that they are also trans. So, Hella, you did actually just come out as cis to me. I was like, because I just assumed that you were trans. Because I was like, I met you through like Milena or something, right? What should I know before joining a credit union? Cursed Chaos asks. So credit union is a great idea. I don't think there's a lot you need to know, really. I mean, like, it's insured the same way that a bank is insured. They typically have good programs for, like, if you need to start building credit, they can help you. I've always banked with credit unions. I think it's a great option. Probably one of the better banking options. So, yeah. Congrats on being an adult and getting a new bank account. It's like a milestone, Yeah, welcome to the PNW. Probation period is over and you are official, right? Yeah, credit unions are so much better than banks. It's pretty easy. Like, I will say, okay, like when you go to open a bank account, make sure that you have your social security card with you and like a birth certificate. Like, plan on having like multiple different forms of identification. Like, if you have a driver's license, obviously, do that. Oh, don't we all, hella? I talk out of my behind all the time. And the thing about being a streamer is that it's the kind of personality that seems to do well as a streamer is one that it says things confidently even when wrong, and then we kind of go away and privately change our minds, and then we'll just come out strong, like saying the thing that we didn't used to agree with, and we kind of just have to present it as like, I was right the whole time, you know? I try not to fall into that trap, but it does seem to be like a very I think it's because it's drug related. Baphomet, Scooby, I think is a heroin term or something. I don't know. But yeah, if you're getting a brand new bank account, you need like birth certificate, driver's license, social security card. Like, you need at least one piece of mail that has your address on it. Yeah. You've just described what good leaders do. So I feel like it's interesting because I personally respect it a lot when I see someone actively going through the process of changing their mind. And so for myself on my show, frequently, I will in like real time. So some people reflexively what they do is double down immediately in person, right? And I do that sometimes, sure. But a lot of the time, if I'm contradicted by something in chat, I'll be like, no, nah. But then I pull up and Google it and I go looking for the, the answer to the question. And I'll in real time be like, oh, you know what? I wasn't right about that. Okay, I stand corrected. I'll stop saying that thing. But I've noticed that like some other people sometimes will just be like, whatever, guys. And then quietly off stream, they will change their mind and then they come back and they just like, they're like, I'm a different thing. I'm doing a different thing now. You can borrow my StreamYard to take a call. I've never used StreamYard, I think, except that one time I joined you guys. So I'm not sure that I would be able to really use it. I'm like, just fucking get on Discord, dude. It's not that hard. I don't know. Like, am I ableist or something by being like, I like Discord is not that hard to figure out? I don't know, man. Hello, Kitty Tick. How goes? I was just telling everybody that I'm waiting to visit the beach until there's going to be a good, clear, warm day in Tillamook. I think that I want to make a dual trip, probably. Like, the first time I come up there, I'm going to drag my whole family with me, and we're going to go to the creamery and the beach, probably. I want to do both of those things in the same day. Because y'all said that Tillamook was the place to go, so that's where it's going to be. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Hi, Allison. How's it going? Urban Dictionary and Wiktionary aren't elucidating the lurid nature of the word Scooby to me. I mean, I do have a question about that. Like, what is... Oxford English Dictionary says that Scooby Snack is a colloquial term for narcotics or illegal drugs. And yeah, that's from Oxford, so. Yeah, make Discord account, join server, hop into the chatting channel and talk. Mazel tov, you are now live and speaking to someone else. I am so glad we took this journey. Yeah, I'm like, all you need to do is have like the basic tech knowledge to be able to sign up to an account for Discord with your email. Click the link on my website that takes you to the Discord server. Once you're in the Discord server, you have to click something that indicates you understand the rules. and that gives you access to all the channels. Then from there, you click in to the Horty voice chat or something, and then I can drag you into the waiting room to talk to me. Or like I can drag you into the actual stream room to talk to me. That's how it works. It's easy. Thank you, Kitty Tick. Tier 3 sub. Thank you so much. Says, I shall not be white. Gimme 3 months of purple. I am planting trees during a small part of stream today, and I am mostly done. Nice. Yeah, we went walking today. So a big part of why I'm like, ooh, I'm actually a little bit tired today, because my partner and I walked a bunch this morning at we went to a couple of different parks actually, and we walked around and saw like some different stores and things, and like popped into various businesses. But while we were at the parks, I noticed that there have been recently, like it seems to me, a fairly recently planted bunch of trees. It could have been that they were planted last year, but yeah, a bunch of newly planted trees, which is great. But yes, thank you, Kitty. Oh, so tier 3 sub is 20 bucks, and then 3 months of that, what is it, discounted down to like 50 bucks? I can't remember. Does my PayPal say how much it was so I don't have to do math? So I don't have to think about anything. I prefer not to think. My husband says that all the time. I'm like, oh, do you think so? And he's like, I try not to. I'm like, you son of a gun. He's a funny guy. Running a Discord can be tricky. Joining a Discord is easy. That's what I feel like, Luke. I mean, although Ember points out that since it is a transphobe you're dealing with, having more than 2 steps is challenging. Like, okay, that's a good point. Because they're dumb. Okay, yeah, so it's $48 on the supers. Which brings us to $53 total for today. Thank you so much. That's very, very generous. Already halfway up the dono goal. How did we feel about the hats last time? Were you guys here for the last time? You know, the hats? Ooh, by the way, there's like 30 viewers, but only 15 likes. It immediately helps the show if you hit the like button. Like, it immediately tells YouTube that it should show this to other people. So if you do that, then you will immediately help the show. Free, easy, quick, fast. If you like him so much, why don't you fucking marry him? True, I know. It's ridiculous. Fun hats? Okay. I got down to like, I think I only had 4 head coverings left. Like 4 different kind of head coverings at the end of that. So I'm like, maybe we'll try something else in the future. I didn't have anything planned for today except for like I'll flex big muscles when we get done with the stream goal for today. But yeah, I figured something to jolly it along, so each donation gets its own little special thing. But we'll see. I told Weza that we were going to be streaming. Also, thanks for letting me come out as sis to you. Yeah, for sure. Some of the hats did not look very cool, but at least you didn't seriously overheat. Yeah, I was okay. Now, oh, I do want to post on Blue Sky. Streaming today. Okay. HTTPS luxander.net/live. Come on, Blue Sky. Join us on Blue Sky. Oh, I posted a video this week. If you didn't see in the Discord already, I decided. So actually, what happened is I reworked the Dragonheart script, and then I decided to go ahead and re-record. I'm like, let's rework the script. Let's re-record. So I did that yesterday. And while I was recording, I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and record a second video to post on the channel, just because I haven't posted anything since December, and I want to put something up there so people know that I'm still around. And I wanted to say something supportive and positive. Like, I want people to feel like there is something that they can do, or there's so much news over the past couple months that I wanted to push that out there of like, so here's the most important things that you need to know have happened, but I really recommend that you don't check in every single day and watch everything happening as it's happening, and like take care of yourselves and find a variety of ways to be impactful in your life and your communities and stuff. So I was like, I just need to get this message out here. So I did that. And now I guess tomorrow I won't have that much time to work on it. I mean, I can work on it in the evenings, I guess. I don't typically work on editing in the evenings, but I can. But I'm gonna start editing. I should be able to fairly easily work it into where I was already at in the editing process when I had filmed it before, since the script is mostly the same. But yeah, I'm going to get to editing that Dragonheart script, and it's probably going to take a week or two to get that finished. So I'm looking at probably like a mid-March release of the Dragonheart video. I'm hoping to streamline this process a little bit more. It'll get easier when my partner has a job, which he had a really good interview this week. I'm very excited for him. It's very exciting to find like a good fit for you, and it seems like it would be a good fit for him. So then I will have a little bit more free time because frankly, it's interesting. Like we've been together for, right, it's going to be like 16 years this year. And we've both been working, and often working out of the home for long periods of time. So we're both, we're having an opportunity to spend time with each other that we don't normally get because my schedule is very flexible and he has not actively been working. So I'm just like, and I prefer to go places during the week when there's probably going to be fewer people. Obviously, like I'm still trying to avoid getting COVID, and I don't like dealing with bad traffic. So there's reasons. So yeah, I definitely, 16 years. Yeah. And then we will be married for 13 years this year. So long time. I'm stoked on the Dragonheart. That movie is both good and ass. Yeah. It's focusing on the dragon himself and just kind of talking about, his characteristics. And frankly, like, I don't think that this script is a huge standout script, right? It's just a fun, silly little thing. It doesn't matter to anything. And then I don't know what I'm doing after this, though, because I think what I probably should do is something like I Saw the TV Glow. I probably should watch I Saw the TV Glow and then do like a review of it, or like talk about it in the context of like it's a movie by a trans director about being trans through allegory. So, yeah. That's an impressive time together given your age. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've almost broken up, but it's good now. Oh, this is very true, Luke. Thank you. They said the barrier of clicking react to a landing message is enough to filter out so many people. If they can't negotiate simple instructions, they weren't going to be a clever conversation. Oh yeah, no. I didn't expect this person to be a clever conversation, by the way. Sometimes I like talking to people who are beneath me, in whether that's in their how intelligently they argue or whether that's in how informed they are on the issue. So this is very specifically like, so at first I was like, come on, Takis, and on Takis, my position is I'm here to educate you. If we have a disagreement, then my goal here is to educate you and to discuss the issues that you're having, right? But if you are banned from Takis and you come to me on my Blue Sky account on posts that have nothing to do with transness, and you start concern trolling me or arguing or saying like, your arguments about this were so stupid, like on a post that's completely unrelated, if I decide to then invite you on my show, it's because I have decided to chew on you. It's because I've decided that you're a new toy for me. Um, so that is kind of how I think of this type of thing. Like, this person was not going to be a clever conversation. This is just going to be an opportunity for me to call someone stupid in so many different ways without overtly calling them stupid. Does that make sense? It's for my amusement. That's a whole high schooler. I know. I could have an entire, like, 16-year-old. Like, if I had gotten pregnant when my mom got pregnant with me, I would have a 16-year-old right now. I saw the TV Glow is great, but it hurts so fucking much. That's part of why I haven't watched it yet, for, like, my own amusement. Do you want to discuss the idea of buying Greenland and why that is dumb? Not really. I mean, I feel like it's self-explanatory. Sounds like inviting a clown to make a show of it. Sure. Yeah, it's like having a court jester that you, like, throw things at. Kind of. Draco was a huge influence on my drawing journey for my 5th grade year. Wow. That's awesome. He's very cool looking. Yeah. Evening. Ugh, good evening from UK. Good evening. Moshan toast. I think that's what that is. I don't know what mosh is, or mosh. Yes. It's been a good week. I've been very limited in how much I've been paying attention to the news this week. I know that there has been bad news, and we will discuss a couple of those things. But, I'm trying to cover these things with a more lighthearted approach. And we do have a couple of good stories too. Want to be clear? It's not all bad news. I feel like we were getting hit with like a 1, 2, 3 punch. Lots of bad news in a short period of time. And so now we're starting to see the rebound, where, obviously Trump and them, they can introduce policy after policy after policy and just keep it going, right? And then it takes a little bit of time for the courts to start kicking in, and so there's news coming out that, like, okay, this thing that Trump tried to do has actually been blocked or whatever. So there's good news, I want to say. And then, we're doing our best here on this channel to kind of talk about a number of topics, things that we're interested in, things that don't have directly to do with any of the politics. I can be dumb on demand. I loved Dragonheart as a kiddo. Yeah, it was good. I feel like I only watched it a little bit when I was younger. It definitely stuck in my mind. Like, for sure, it has stuck in my mind. I remembered a lot of that movie, considering that I don't think I watched it over and over again. Versus, like, fucking The Land Before Time, which I watched over and over and over again, but don't remember very clearly. Yeah, I don't know why, but I was a big Land Before Time fan, which is such a weird thing. I'm just like, I'm like remembering / imagining, right? Like a 3-year-old me, like sitting on my granddad's lap watching The Land Before Time, a movie where in like the very beginning of the movie, a child horrifically loses his mother. Like, yeah, that's what they had kids watching back in the day. So I'm not really expecting this guy to show up to argue with me. Because yeah, I agree with you. There is a slightly higher barrier to entry, excuse me, for my show, right? Like, because on the line you can just call a phone number, but on mine you have to get in the Discord and everything. I don't really want people in the Discord who are not smart enough to set up a Discord. So it's a little bit of a self-limiting thing. Aside from Dragonheart, the only other dragon movie I can recall is Merlin with Sam Neill. Yeah, that was a made-for-TV movie series. There were like 4 episodes, and that only had that dragon for one scene. Maybe that is why it's burned into memory. Okay, well, okay, so I don't want to blow the entire load of the script, but I will say Dragonheart is significant in film history because it was the first ever fully CG character, like a completely CG character, and the first ever like realistic CG dragon. So honestly, Dragonheart, even though it was not a very great movie, you know, it's a little bit of a cult classic. It was not considered a great movie in its time, but it has a very special place in film history because other things were made possible by that breakthrough in both the technology and the artistic the artistic license, the creative decisions that were made, the artistic innovation, really, is kind of what I was trying to say. Does anyone here remember Galgameth? It was this super weird movie where a kid found a figurine and it turned into basically a Godzilla monster that was his friend. It was super weird, like the monster kept growing when it ate. No, I never saw that one, but maybe someone else has. Are you saying Dragonheart was also a killer toy line? That's fun. It's pretty crazy how much modern CGI was basically developed in the 90s. I mean, that's literally, right? Like, Tippett Studios, Phil Tippett, and like they did like the practical effects and they were working with the companies that were doing the CG effects for the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. And hold on, did I entirely miss a paragraph? Or hold on, I'm just realizing that like I'm like, did I miss reading something in my dragon script, or did I just decide to omit something that I had previously put in there? Because I did go through and edit the script a bunch. Okay, no, I did do it. Okay, I was just losing my mind temporarily. But yes, the 90s was when, like, that's when modern CGI began. I feel like CGI has also somehow gone downhill over the past 10 years. Well, sure, yeah, there's a very good reason for that. And the reason is because the CGI people are not unionized. So all the people who work on the practical effects, the actors, all that green screen stuff, or not the green screen stuff itself, but like the people like on the stage, those are all people who are unionized, right? But the people who do the CG are not unionized, which means that these companies have been using more and more and more and more and more CGI. So that's number one, why we're seeing so much more CGI. And second of all, they work those employees much harder. They slash the budget, they give them unrealistic time crunch expectations. Because they're not unionized, they can mistreat those workers in a way that they can't mistreat the props designers and that kind of thing. So, yes, so we're seeing a lot of CGI and a lot of bad CGI because there's this, crazy high expectation. And like, there's some stuff that's very, very useful to understand this situation. Like, my husband turned me on to this this channel called Corridor Crew, and they sometimes do these videos. They did one recently. Let me see if I can find it. See if I can figure out which one it was that I watched. Where? I thought it was a recent video. Time crunch. Okay, yeah. So this is a video from 6 months ago from Corridor Crew called "I Prove Hollywood Effects Aren't Bad, They're Rushed." So he basically, they set up a skit essentially where his boss comes and tells him, "I need you to take this footage. We have a footage of this guy walking down the sidewalk, and then I want you to build the CGI of him getting hit by a car and like crashing into this wall." And there's like 3 different versions of it. You guys have seen that thing where people will do like a 10-minute drawing challenge, a 5-minute drawing challenge, and a 30-second drawing challenge, and they're drawing the same object but like with less and less time to do it good. So this is the same thing. He did 3 different versions of the same car crash with a different time constraint. I think that he did it. It started with like a very short time and then ended with like, you have all week to get this shot together. So this is a way of showing and demonstrating like when you are this limited on time, here's what is physically possible to do in that time. And that's like assuming that your computer doesn't crash during the render. Sometimes you are limited by not even just the speed of how you can operate the software, but also how long it takes your computer hardware to physically process the information. So yeah, I think that this is a great video from Corridor Crew to kind of get a better idea of why CGI looks like shit all the time, and understanding that it is not the fault of the artists, but rather the fault of the executives that are pushing them to meet unrealistic deadlines. Oh, hey, Jasper says, I'm a visual artist who does CG, and yeah, it's brutal. We get hired off of the strength of our portfolios, and then they death march us and don't even let us make designs half as cool as what we would normally draw. Yeah. They're like, oh, this isn't what the work that we expected from you. And it's like, well, because I was in school when I was building that portfolio, and that I was like given an assignment that was like, hey, have this back in 2 weeks. And so that was 2 weeks worth of work in that one thing. Yeah, I do. I really like Corridor Crew. I've learned a lot from watching them. Like, I'm really interested in the making of TV stuff. So, sometimes when my partner and I are watching TV, I'll be like, oh, hey, that was built with miniatures, or like that entire background is CGI. I think we were watching something recently where like you could see the green on the green cast on the person's skin from a green screen. It might have been something, maybe not like a movie we were watching, but I don't know. So speaking of that guy that never showed up to debate, I haven't seen something self-implode this hard since that Titan submarine. Listen, and I also try to be fair about the fact that like this stream starts at 4 p.m. Central Time, but I'm on the West Coast now. I start the stream at 2 p.m. in order to make it the same time slot as I was doing before. And so maybe this person is on the West Coast and they're literally at work right now. I can't fault them for that. Corridor Crew does a phenomenal lightsaber battle, way better than anything in the prequels. Nice. I don't know if I've seen that one in particular. I do enjoy those though, when they're just like, I'm gonna do some silly bullshit. Like, what was one? Ren recently made the practical effect of the liquid. Yeah, so Ren did the Terminator liquid effect practically. They did a previous video where they recreated the liquid Terminator, like when he walks through the bars in the prison. They remade that with CG in like they did like a challenge or something, and then they did this practical effect recently. So yeah, and then of course most of their videos are just like VFX artists react to good and bad CGI of things that have come out recently, I guess. Although throwback, this one is like that's Van Helsing. That's straight up. I would love to watch that movie again. It's been forever. It's 5:45 right now. Yeah, sure, if you're on the East Coast. But lots of people are like still at work or still commuting home and like, yeah, I am in this time slot because I want people across the ocean to be able to hang out. Although, shit, maybe I should do it later. I don't know. I kind of like this time slot, but like I guess it's like not optimal stream time for the United States. I tried watching Van Helsing back in October. I forgot how much ham was in it. True. Oh, this is so true, Kitty. So Kitty says, this is the trouble that always happens to an artist. People look at your work and they go, wow, that's so beautiful. How long would a piece like that take? You reply, at that size and detail, it's between 1 and 200 hours plus $200 in supplies. I would need $3,000 to make that and have it be like I'm being paid worth my time. So no one wants to pay you for 3 months' work on a mural or any other artistic endeavor. Yeah, it's so funny. All of these like right wingers complaining about like the fall of Western society and all the beautiful artwork that used to be made but that isn't anymore, and now all we have is like pop music and fucking furry porn or whatever they're complaining about. It's like, well, okay, why don't you become a wealthy patron who like hires an artist to come live on your manse for 3 months to make you a piece of art, right? Like what, like that's the thing is like, yeah, that's what used to happen. You would like a rich person would pay an artist basically like, I'll pay your rent and everything. I'll pay for your food. I just want you to work on this piece of art, like work on this portrait or chisel this sculpture in my villa or whatever. And that's like why art doesn't get made. Yeah, where are the rich patrons? Pop music and furry porn is the natural progression of humans in this day. No, I mean, yeah, of course, it makes perfect sense. I'm not, and I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying those are the kinds of things that seem to be portrayed as like the fall of Western society or whatever. But, being weird sexual degenerates and enjoying simple, catchy melodies is like quintessential human behavior. Da Vinci spent 5 years painting the Mona Lisa, then stole it. Probably people like him that ruined the practice. Maybe. Hey, Somnia Static, what's up? Hope life's going well. Hang in there while we all burn the country down. I'm hanging in. I feel like I'm doing okay. I definitely have my moments. But I will say, when I see the news, it's not just federal, oh, bad, 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 bad. And it's also not, oh, my state is dangerously close to doing something that I think is bad, bad, bad. So my mix of news includes, like, I follow a bunch of local news stations and accounts. And so I'm also getting, like, Oregon joins lawsuit. Oh, did you guys remember we talked about that Oregonian congresswoman who just recently got elected, and she said, we have to fuck Trump, and like, I mean, they even mentioned her on Last Week Tonight, actually. I'm like, that lady is from my state. And maybe, like, I can't remember if she represents me or not. But just to know that, like, she's the kind of person that we elect here, it feels really good. And so I get like positive news about Oregon and Washington and California all defying these rules, and like these hospitals saying that they're going to keep providing gender affirming care to youth and stuff. And it definitely makes a difference to hear the good news. There are still rich patrons like that, but they're rare. I've known 2 and I'm pushing 40. Damn, man. What if I just was like, can someone just pay me to like languor and be pretty in your front room for like a week, and then I'll go home with like $6,000. Just to look at me, you know? I am the art. You know, you're renting me for a week to be art in your house. The Sistine Chapel was painted by like 6 guys high on paint fumes. Sure, sure. There's a painting of Zeus shapeshifted into a swan having sex with a woman. Furry porn is old as fuck. True. Still early days, but would you say the PNW has lived up to expectations? Yeah, I'm really pleased with the decision. Like, my partner and I are both consistently like this. I feel like we chose a pretty cool place to move to. Like, the weather is gorgeous. It will get like hotter during the summer, and I'm kind of like freaked out a little bit about it being hot in the summer, because it's like, okay, if it's only like 90 degrees for like a couple weeks instead of like the entire fucking summer, then sure, that'll be good. I've loved the rain. I really like all of the greenery and wildlife and stuff. Like, even though it is winter here, it is a very mild winter. The people have all been very welcoming. Pretty much any time we're talking to someone and we're like, hey, yeah, we just moved here, da da da, they like recommend places that we should try out. So yeah, it's been very enjoyable. I've made a friend through the community garden. I'm really excited to get started on my community garden plot. I'm trying to decide like when I'm gonna get started on it. It's big, guys. I'm gonna need to go out there with get my camera ready and like do a little vlog out there for the second channel and start posting regularly on the second channel this year, because yeah, I have a pretty big little plot of land I need to figure out what I'm doing with. I heard the spring birds and was like, whoa, I should get outside more. You know, it occurred to me recently that there are a decent number of birds up here right now, and I think that some of them are migrated here for their winter. So I wonder actually if there will be more birds here during the winter than there are during the summer, because like they all hypothetically fly back home. Maybe not all, some species, but it's really kind of a curious thought to me. My dream is to be a rich patron someday. True. Birds aren't real? Oh no. Oh, Kitty's dropping some knowledge on us. She says the way the Sistine Chapel was painted is intense. They prepared a 1 by 1 foot square of plaster. An apprentice would prepare a palette of the paints they need ahead before the plaster was ready and the painter was in place. They had around 25 minutes before the surface of the plaster would set. When set, the paint is actually captured inside of the plaster because it is lime-based, and when they wanted to clean it, it turned out it was super easy to do without damage. Another invention of Da Vinci was that painted plaster used in the Sistine Chapel. That's very interesting. That makes sense though. It just sets in the plaster, and then you have like a clean surface. You could just wipe it off, and it's not like gonna make anything flake out or anything. That's very interesting. Listen, he was a straight up F slur, fucking revolutionizing the technology of art. The video that I posted yesterday is doing shit, but that's okay. I like took a fucking 2-month hiatus. It's understandable that the content would not get recommended to people. It's not really paint on the plaster anymore. Right, yeah, like it's mixed into the plaster and it's like set under the surface. It kind of reminds me of like how a tattoo works, you know? Like my partner pointed out that my most recent tattoo, it's like not as bright as it was. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it works. It's because I have dry skin that's white that is on top of the paint or like on top of the ink. That's cool. Oh gosh. Well, what should we talk about today, you guys? Like, aside from just whatever bullshit I decided to talk about. He was also a cheater who used a camera obscura to do many of his best works. I don't know what a camera obscura is. No one knows for sure, but Da Vinci is suspected of being both gay and autistic. Yeah, no, I thought that it was like fairly well established that he's gay, but I don't remember why I think that. Trump take egg, guys. I went to do my pickup order at the grocery store this week, and they did not have any eggs available according to the website. Trump take egg. I'm about to have to switch to duck eggs from the fucking farmer's market. I wonder if I can get regular eggs from the farmer's market. Most of the greats used old school projectors and other helper objects. Oh, okay, to like trace to trace over. Eggs are a myth? What? Can I offer you an egg in this trying time? Okay, let me see what I have today to talk about. Tofu scramble is about to become much more popular and I love it. Don't tell anybody about it. Don't tell everybody the secret. I have tofu for completely other reasons. Like, most of the time actually I boil eggs rather than scramble them. Although, you can't beat a decent little quick scramble. Oh man, I feel like scrambled eggs are basically the perfect venue for hot sauce. Yeah. Yeah. Can I egg you on? True. But yeah, I mean, when I eat tofu, it's, I recently learned a recipe for like a vegan tofu that takes dark chocolate, maple syrup, and tofu and a little pinch of salt, and you like put it in a blender or a food processor or something, and it makes like a chocolate mousse, but it's like a protein heavy chocolate mousse. I made that for dinner recently. Basically, I was like, I'll make that and then some uh fucking quinoa and some roasted broccoli or something along those lines, and it was pretty yummy. Like dessert for dinner. Make sure you eat all the pudding because that's the main protein for your meal. And actually, earlier this week, I did some baked tofu. I took the tofu and, did a cornstarch and salt dredge, and then I popped them in the oven. I should have used oil. I didn't. And they were yummy. Also a good venue for hot sauce. Yeah, true. I would say there's not much risk of soy protein going short, but I wouldn't put it past those fuckwits to outlaw it because it's, quote, gay or some shit. Yeah. I will say, at least with soy, like, soy is one of the ones that gets rotated out with corn. So because we grow so much corn here, we also rotate in soy. So plenty of soy is grown domestically. So I feel like we shouldn't need to worry about it being, like, impossible to get supply chain wise. Whether they make it illegal is a different question. A different, very stupid question. How much of our soy protein is from China? That's a good question. How much USA soy is from abroad? Top producing countries for soybeans, according to the USDA Foreign Agricultural Service: Brazil 40%, United States 28%, Argentina 12%, China 5%. So despite being like associated with soy products, China produces only 5% of the global soy production, according to USDA. Okay, cool. Jasper says, now is an okay time to put out some snow peas in most places. Yeah, sure. It depends on where you live, but there are some things that you can plant now, right? Like in the area that I'm in, I was told that I could start spinach now, uh, onions, that kind of thing. Garlic can start soon. I still don't know what I'm gonna grow. I I'm just gonna use donated plants for the most part. I do have some seeds. I might start some seeds indoors. I kept some seeds from an heirloom tomato that I bought last year, and I was thinking about trying to grow those. Actually, we export a ton of soy to China. I'm assuming that that's the case. We make 28% of the global supply. Baby Squid says, well, actually, the only acceptable use of soy is to feed cattle. The conversion of soy protein to cow flesh makes it not gay scientifically. Mm-hmm. Have fun, kitty. Hopefully, no tariffs on Brazil then. Yeah. Peas/green beans do well here. Jasper says, all those in the PNW now. I like peas because you can start them outside now and then stir fry the tender shoots. Ooh, that could be good. The person that I'm friends with at the garden was asking me what I know about growing celery. And I was like, you know what? I have never considered growing celery. And she was like, oh, I use it all the time. And I was like, no, I use it all the time. I just never thought about growing it, which is interesting. Like, it's part of mirepoix. You do onion and carrot and celery, and it's like a base for so many different foods. That sounds awesome. Chatter says my partner and I are going to be growing Scottish grapes to make Scottish wine this year. Ooh, that's good. The tariffs really hurt soy farmers. They will need bailed out again. We spent $8 billion bailing out farmers during the last Orange admin. Yeah, this is part of why I'm so glad. Like, okay, I made my plans very carefully, and I now live in a place that is supposed to have increased agricultural output over the next 10 to 20 years instead of decreased. Like where I live or where I was from would be decreased pretty dramatically over the next 20 years, but my new area is supposed to be increased. Like it's going to get more suitable for plant output here as climate change continues. Uh, so that means that I have access to a lot of local food. And the farmers markets are opening soon. Like, oh man. Some of them open pretty early and some of them like run year round. Obviously, like a lot of farmers markets don't open until like May. Um, but at least one that I know of is going to be starting soon. And I'm very excited. Must be challenging getting grapes to grow well in Scotland. Yeah, that would be kind of difficult, I imagine. Hmm. I changed the title of the stream to now it says talking about politics, but not in a stressful way. I want to see if that tone of title gets more clicks in. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. I would love to get more people hanging out in here when we're just kind of chilling. That would be great. And let's start talking about some stories, eh? Squash does very well in home gardens too if you like it, especially vining types. Yeah, I'm going to try to focus on like maybe, oh God, maybe like a grand total of 5 or 6 different plants that I know we eat regularly. So I could grow some carrots. I actually still have some carrot seeds left over, although I might not want to use them because they're like 3 years old now. Maybe I'll need to get new carrot seeds. So carrots we eat all the time. Like onions we eat regularly. I was like, I like having a variety. I'm really concerned about growing lettuce or anything that's meant to be eaten raw because I don't want there to be like bird flu on my food. So I don't know if maybe I'll wait for anything that we would eat raw to like maybe that should wait until I have a greenhouse, which could be like 5+ years. I've got several things from Aaron in the Morn. So there's some stuff we could talk about. Oh, someone asked, Drea, was it you? You asked about my bow. So I got it out. It's out. The string is resting on it, but it is not strung, you know. So I'm thinking what I'll probably go ahead and do is I'll probably 3D print a couple of peg things and like I'm not sure exactly where it's gonna go, but something like that. Except that I already have stuff on the walls, you know? So I'm not sure exactly how this is gonna work, but that's like my best guess for the best way to make it work to put the bow on the wall. And then I really want to go to an archery place, but I don't know how much it's going to cost. And I'm trying not to spend that kind of money right now. It would be great if I could just fucking take my. I have a target. Can you hang it vertically? It's generally not recommended to. I could do it over here, but like, I don't really have a great way to do that, I don't think. I'm not sure. Like, maybe I could print something that like fits on that right there. And then I could put it like that. I don't know. Typically, you hang bows on their sides, though. So it's either going to have to go like that or like that. That just seems like the thing that's going to make sense. Is it safe to 3D print a strap on? It's not safe to 3D print anything that you plan on putting inside your body or anyone else's body. Dragon Claw's bow rack. True. It would be you would not be able to see that level of detail, but I guess it's good enough to just know. I need to redo the fur. I want to redo those probably. Like cut one of these in half and only use half of it instead of having this big long thing. Anyway, it feels really good to have my bow back out though. I'm happy that I got it out of storage that it was in. I also just got my guitar out. I started playing my guitar for the first time in like God, like more than 6 months. I don't even know. It might have been like a year since the last time I picked up my guitar, which was nice. I see Erin has brought on some guest writers who also write for her on her Substack. Let me just paint this detail zoomed in that nobody else will see in the final. True. I was thinking a stand for it to sit on with a peg in the wall for it to lean against. Well, I mean, the difficulty with that is that I'm standing. And so, like, this is how much bow you'd be able to see if it was against the wall. Whereas I could hang it up in a way that you can see the entire bow. It just feels good to hold a bow, you know? It just makes you feel like serious business. Anyway, I wanted to look at some of these things. Stand meaning like a shelf. I just don't really know how to. I don't really design things. So typically, I'm just like, let me go to find something that somebody else already 3D printed, designed, and I'll just print it. And there's plenty of pegs that already exist for me to hang it this way. It's like, I guess I could have it just over here. That would work, hypothetically. I don't see why not. But yeah. Still have to wait another like 5 months to get a hunting license, which is a bummer. Ugh. 40 people in here. Wow. Hello. Okay, but let's just discuss the politics of 3D printing. Oh no. Is there something I didn't know? Yeah, I've looked on Thingiverse to see if there's any designs. Yep. But it's easy for me to just 3D print some pegs, and then like probably I'll wrap them with some leather so that it's not gonna scratch up my bow. Okay. Hmm. Are you talking about the politics of printing gun parts? Because I am kind of against 3D printing gun parts for the most part. Like, unless it's a sight mount or something, like, I've 3D printed too many things that got super fucked up just because the printing wasn't tuned in well. I wanted to talk about this in particular because I think that this is a little bit it's like this is crazy to me. You have like Zoe Zephyr, who's a trans woman in the Montana legislature. She represents the House, right? Or she's in the House of Representatives. This House Bill 446 in Montana establishes two indecent exposure laws, one for the general public that requires intent, and another for trans people that does not. So the House of Representatives passed, like, I'm just saying, like, you have an employee or a coworker right next to you, um, who you are passing a law to make her presence in the bathroom illegal, despite the fact that you know that she has never created an issue in the bathroom. Like, so you are just like criminalizing your own colleague. That's fucked up. Are you still going by Zephyr? No, I'm not. I'm Moss. It's Moss and it's Luxander, and that's like those are the names. Oh, chat reconnecting. There we go. So, let's see. So, under current law, indecent exposure requires intent, such as deliberately streaking across a field or flashing bystanders. However, this bill removes the requirement of intent when applied specifically to transgender individuals, making it possible to criminalize them simply for existing in certain public spaces. So this bill targets trans people in locker rooms, bathrooms, and changing areas and creates a legal distinction because, again, for most people, indecent exposure is defined as requiring intent to abuse, humiliate, harass, violate the dignity of, or degrade another person. However, in a separate section specifically addressing trans individuals, those words are absent, and instead, indecent exposure is defined simply as exposing intimate parts to someone of the opposite sex assigned at birth. So yeah, like, if you have, if you go into the changing room to change into your bathing suit, which everybody is doing out in open, and you're not being sexual or anything, you're just changing and moving on with your day, that is like a sex crime. So not gun parts specifically, but many mass produced parts and pieces that are necessary for being more self sufficient, like being able to fix your own things. They previously were held ransom for things that cost pennies to make, and it just compounds the poor tax. I love having access to fixes that otherwise I can't afford. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's good to have a 3D printer. I don't have the space for it, but like my partner is not going to let me use his 3D printer, so I have to set up my 3D printer in order to print the pegs that I need to peg the fucking to put the thing on the wall. So I'm definitely not going to do it until like, I have a couple days where I know for sure that um I'm not going to be working in here because I don't like the sound of the printer. But ooh. I just want to tell you guys this now because I'm realizing this is coming up soon. Okay. This weekend is daylight savings and it's spring forward. So this is when we lose an hour. So I don't think I'm going to stream on Sunday. Like I'm streaming in the morning now on Sundays. I think that I should give myself a couple days to like adjust to the time change, and I'm not going to try to stream at what would feel like 10 a.m. on Sunday. I'm not going to do that. So I will see you all on Takis tomorrow, and then I will see you all on stream next Wednesday. What? Jasper says, I didn't think science or engineering was really for me, and then I got a 3D printer and realized actually I engineer okay for basic stuff, so I totally get that. Love the democratizing of making, of creation that it brings. Yes, I do think that it's good. Being able to, put together a basic concept or print out something that you need, fix something. I kind of broke our coffee machine this week, and then I just kind of bought the shittiest coffee maker that I could find at the store. And my partner was like, maybe I could 3D print that part that you broke. Like, okay, so I guess I'm not sure if we're throwing away the old coffee maker because you can fix. I like to invert the phrase from Brave New World. In Brave New World, they say like spending is better than mending or something, or like ending is better than mending, and I flip it. I'm like, mending is better than spending. You rather mend things than spend more money. Although I already, I spent like $20 on a shitty fucking coffee maker to replace what was previously $100 coffee maker. So, oh, but yeah, getting back to this, there's fucking like blatant. This is why the 14th Amendment question is like so tricky. Like we're about to get the answer to the question: do trans people deserve 14th Amendment protections? Because how can you have a law that specifically says like indecent exposure is generally this, except when this one group of people do it, in which case you don't have to prove that they meant to menace anyone. Simply their presence is a menace enough. So Zoe Zephyr does say, she addresses members of the body saying, I am getting very, very tired of rising on bills targeting the transgender community. This is the 6th bill I have had to speak on in 24 hours. You have 2 indecent exposure laws, one in our existing statute where someone is trying to abuse a person, where someone is trying to get sexual gratification, and you have another indecent exposure law where the crime is being trans. It is going to a gym, which I do regularly, by the way, working out, and going to change in a changing room. This law would make the process I do regularly in my hometown of Missoula an indecent exposure law. For the edification of this body, I am a trans woman who has undergone gender reassignment surgery. I have female genitalia. But how are they supposed to know? Are they supposed to say, oh, I recognize Representative Zephyr. We should target her because she has the audacity to live her life? I hope this body would one day leave my people alone. Like, yeah, I don't, it's crazy to me to have to defend yourself against your colleagues like that. And I remember, like, we've had the similar thing happen with Megan in Nebraska, whose kid is trans, and she had to, like, fight back against the idea that she was harming her child by getting them gender affirming care. Or, like, even seeking gender affirming care. Like, I think she ended up exposing that, like, they couldn't find a doctor who was willing to provide it even though it was legal. So, but, okay, so I want to talk about good news. Okay, are we ready? Ooh, let's talk about something nice. Oh, I guess this one is not exactly 100% nice, so we'll skip that for now. So here's a little spot of good news. The Senate Democrats show some spine, and a national sports ban bill dies. Man, how did we drop down to 26 people? It's so strange. Anyway, y'all are the real ones. The failed legislation reflects a wider effort to disallow trans women or anyone suspected of being a trans woman from women's sports. Republicans called it the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, and Democrats dubbed it the GOP Child Predator Empowerment Act. So, Senate Democrats have staved off federal legislation that would effectively ban trans women in women's sports. I think that this one also, like, had expanded its definition to potentially include, like, chess and other relatively non-physical sports. Okay. So that's a little spot of good news. You cannot get rid of me so easily. True. Here's a little bit of good news. Judge blocks Trump trans ban nationwide, slams reliance on cast review. This one was written by Mira. And yeah, basically, like, a federal judge in the United States District Court for the District of Maryland blocked the enforcement of Trump's executive order. The preliminary injunction applies nationwide, which is a contrast to another lawsuit existing filed by Minnesota, Oregon, and Washington, which only resulted in an injunction protecting those 3 states. So, okay, obviously, yeah, this is the thing, too. These executive orders lack a clear enforcement mechanism. This is the same issue as with it's like the bathroom bill in Kansas. I haven't heard really of anybody getting arrested for using the wrong bathroom or whatever, because the main point of that law was them also stripping away your right to have a good gender marker on your license, right? So there was no mechanism of enforcement for the bathroom thing because that wasn't the main point. And for this, like, it's just trying to get, first of all, like, attention, and also get people to preemptively, like, obey, even though there is no mechanism for enforcement here. Yes, it relies on vague threats to strip federal funding from non-compliant institutions. Judge Brendan A. Herson, a Biden appointee, has issued a clear order halting all enforcement efforts and mandating the reimbursement of any federal funds that have been withheld on the basis of this executive order. This complaint has been filed by PFLAG on February 4th, brought by Lambda Legal and ACLU. This lawsuit names multiple federal officials as defendants. The plaintiffs include several anonymous families whose children would have been denied gender-affirming care under this order, as well as legal adults who also fall within its scope. So the 18 to 19-year-old adults. So yeah, like I said, all these things are going to work through the court systems. It's going to be a kind of long process. And the question is, I guess, whether Trump is going to ignore the courts, because it seems like there's a tendency right now for them to try to give the courts the runaround or to ignore court orders. And the judges are going to start getting really pissed off. And if they ignore the wrong judge, they might be arrested. Like, I think that that is entirely possible. Like, I don't know exactly if it's going to happen, but it's like, it seems possible. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck was gay? I don't know. That's a great question. I'm good. I just tried to drink, well, I tried to breathe in some water. You know how you do sometimes. You're like, water, let me breathe it. I'm gonna be thinking about that water and how I wanna breathe it. How I wanna breathe it. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah, we dare to ask the important questions here. I honestly don't have a ton of like news that I'm like, yeah, I can really riff on that for a long time. Oh, I wanted to cover this from Ari Drennan though. So this is like a mixed good news, bad news. And I just want to discuss it because I think that she makes a really good point in here. In Worcester, Massachusetts, they voted to become a sanctuary city for trans people, which bars local officials from helping criminalize gender affirming care. Excuse me. Right wing media has mocked this move. And then Ari points out, like, if trans rights under attack, why would a city need to do this? The vote came just as Trump rolled out these executive orders. These aren't just state laws anymore, it's federal policy. Right wing media is running two conflicting narratives. One, that these policies are just, quote, common sense protections, right? They want to protect women and girls. That's what they keep saying. And also that trans people are overreacting with this narrative of like, well, nothing is being taken away. Both can't be true. And this is what the point that I think is extremely important to hammer in if you at any point end up having this type of argument, that it can't be true that like these are common sense protections that are going to protect women, and also that trans people are overreacting because nothing of value or nothing meaningful is being taken away from them. Like, you are trying to take away the ability for trans people to participate in certain things, like being able to go to the bathroom or like change clothes at the gym without potentially getting arrested for a sex crime, for something that everybody else is also doing. um yeah, so I just thought that that was really good to point out. Fox News is calling these orders protecting women and children. Newsmax and the Daily Wire say that the backlash is hysteria, but these policies are doing exactly what critics say. They are stripping trans people of rights and pushing them out of public life. The Worcester City Council voted 9-2 to keep local resources from being used to target trans healthcare. So if trans rights aren't under attack, then why are these cities stepping in to protect people from these laws? Right-wing media's response is to laugh at Worcester's decision, dismiss trans people's concerns, defend the policies that made this sanctuary status necessary in the first place, and overall, like, deny that the attack is happening and mocking those who try to stop it. You know? Like, if you're not doing anything to harm trans people, then why would anyone do this, right? So they're trying to say like, oh, we're not trying to hurt trans people, so you're overreacting. You're just like creating a sanctuary policy, even though the laws that we're passing don't even hurt trans people. Like, dude, yeah, Fox like straining under the double think. Noah says anything that violates bodily autonomy is fascism and a crime against humanity. I mean, there's lots of ways that you can violate bodily autonomy that's not fascist, but overall, I take your point. Like, in a socialist utopia, you might still occasionally have domestic violence, you know? Okay, what else do I have? Does okay? So I saw that Alexandria Ocasio Cortez had been asking on Blue Sky. She was like, "Hey, what kind of action would you like to see Democrats take when Trump gives his State of the Union address?" Now, the thing that Trump did last night, everybody is saying it wasn't technically a State of the Union address, even though that is typically what that is. So for some reason, it wasn't a normal State of the Union address, but it was still like he was giving a speech to both parties of Congress, right? Um, but then just one Democrat like interrupted him and got escorted out because he was interrupting. Like I was under the impression, given that AOC had asked this question, and like as far as I could tell, the overwhelming majority of responses said something along the lines of, we would like you to do a walkout. Like, we would love to see a walkout. You know, lots of people gave lots of different versions of what they would like to see. But it all kind of came down to a walkout. Like, whether you all leave one by one and form a press conference outside or whatever. Hey, Weza, I am not going to talk to you about the COVID vaccine because we have established that we have dramatically different ideas of what science means. So I'm not going to talk to you about that. But if you are able to figure out Discord, I still have time today to discuss the original issue that you brought up to me, which was that you were unsatisfied by the data that I provided regarding performance among different gendered bodies in sports. Good to see that you were able to make it. Oh, I'm happy to argue with you from chat if you don't have the ability to figure out Discord. It's a little bit lopsided because I can say a lot more than you can, but if you really can't figure it out, I'm happy to talk to you from chat if that is easier. Hella, are you still here? Our oppositional caller has arisen in the chat. We're in a hostile government takeover. Oh man, if we debate, oh man, I'm gonna play WoW. Yes, I'm gonna play WoW while I debate. That would be so fun. Like me only half paying attention to fucking running around Teldrassil. And like while we're here, I just want to mention this last thing because Erin has it on her page. A new bill that has been proposed in Texas will outright criminalize being trans as a type of felony fraud. We were concerned that this might happen. What level are you in WoW right now? I mean, what do you mean? I started an alt for stream, and that's like a level 6 druid or something, but my main, I guess you could say, is level 58. So we're very close to getting to 60 on the first characters that we've gotten to 60 on since we started playing in October. Anyway, so Weza, we're gonna have a very bad time if I explicitly say I'm not going to talk about that with you and then you push me on it, because what you're establishing already is that you are not going to be respectful of me during a conversation. So again, I'm happy to talk about the issue of trans people in sports, but it kind of feels to me when we establish that we're going to talk about a specific topic and then you bring something else up, it makes you look like you are incapable of producing any arguments. It makes you look like I have defeated your position, basically. Like, so you are not able to face the arguments that I have made and you've decided to just switch to a different topic. It's called like a bait and switch, right? So, or maybe perhaps you're arguing with Noah because Noah has started responding to you. So, oh, big boy. Big boy, he's not sure if I can deal with it. Ooh. Are you the same one that like called in this past week, or was that like that caller called Andrew, or are you just a different person? It was Andrew who I called, who you seemed to take an issue with my position about what I said. Oh, he's such a big boy. Ooh, his big brain. This is you, Weza. Let me see if I can find it. This is how I see you, Weza. Look at you. Your brain is so big that you've made it into a throne that you're sitting on. Yeah, when you switch points, you're abandoning the point that you were making, which shows that you're basically conceding the point. Weza, why are you pushing me on the vaccine issue? Or are you talking to Noah? Like, focus up. Focus up, okay? Come on, hey. Focus up. We're talking about trans athletes. Are you gonna play ball or no? You're still not in the Discord. I don't have another way to take your call, so. Moss doesn't have the stones to have me on its show, as I am very annoying. It's true, Nuvenal. You shut your face. No, not really. Oh, boy. Just like, come on. Get with the program. How old are you? Do you have dementia? You forgot the topic of conversation? So before we get into that, I wanted to mention, yeah, this felony fraud thing. The bill has been introduced by Tom Oliverson. It likely will not pass. And Aaron points out that, however, this obviously represents a new front in attacks on trans people. Alejandra Caraballo, when she covered the fact that, like, trans people who have changed their gender marker in their home country, who are applying for a visa to the United States, will be permanently denied entry into the United States because it's considered a type of fraud now, right? Like the United States government is basically saying you're committing a material fraud by declaring that your thing is like that your gender is different than that you were assigned at birth. Alejandra points out that that's establishing a precedent, even though the visas thing does not affect American citizens. It sets a precedent that you could expand that to domestic issues, right? And that's what we're seeing here with this Texas bill. It is now saying, like, basically by declaring your gender is different than the one that you were assigned at birth, like seeking to change your documentation, I assume, is fraud. It's a material fraud. Are you just gonna stay in the chat, Weza? Are you just gonna argue from the chat? You don't want to join. You don't want to like actually flesh out your ideas in text, and you're gonna give me a platform to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and you can't interrupt me in any way, and you can also only type so fast. Is that the choice that you're gonna make? Is to just be annoying from chat instead of defending your ideas in the marketplace of ideas? Yeah, you can't figure out Discord. It's too hard. You just are. So it seems like what you're gonna do actually is throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see how much you can stir up my chatters. Chatters, keep in mind that this is like a fetish for some of these people. They come here because they want us to dogpile them. It's kind of like, y'all know that, hold on, shit, sorry. Y'all know that phenomenon when Christians, they go door to door and sometimes people are kind of mean to them. And then they go back to the church and the church is like, oh, all these outsiders don't understand. You're valid in your beliefs. It's those unbelievers, whatever. It's a cycle where your belief system gets reinforced by like a love bombing cycle. And that love bombing cycle necessarily has to include a part where people get mad at you for being fucking annoying. And then you go back to the church and they reassure you, right? So this person in chat is doing that thing where they're deliberately coming here to stir things up, to make us annoyed. And then you all are going to get all in a tizzy in the chat. And that is the point. Like, the point is for him to get something emotionally satisfying out of, like, upsetting us. That's the purpose of this. Like, because otherwise you wouldn't be coming in here, like, bringing up 5 different issues instead of focusing on the trans sports issue. You know? They come here. Exactly. It's a kink. They're fetish. They like getting stomped on with stilettos. Exactly, Ember. It's like, since you got here, you've brought up vaccines, you've brought up masks, and sports. Okay, you finally fucking figured it out that we're here to talk about sports. In that case, this would this be considered edging him? No, Baphomet. No. Let him be annoying. He can't figure out the Discord. This is the most satisfaction that we're gonna get. Gonna make me unmute him? Yeah. Okay, there we go. Thank you. I know. I'm having fun. You're having fun. We're having fun. It's okay. We're trying to have a good show. Best we can. Yeah, they be cooming here. Sorry, Weza. That was my mod. He's just having fun. I'm a coward. Why don't you get in the fucking Discord? You're so funny. I love you so much. You're such a sweetheart. I wonder if I want a pet conservative. You know how like Nuts hangs out in Demon Mama's chat, and like I think Nuts also hangs out in Vash's chat. I want like a kind of annoying conservative. Just our pet conservative. That would be fun. Exactly, Dank Cat Lord. Yeah, vaccines are dumb and stupid, and they're bad for you, and masks make you look dumb. Transports. That's good. Man, like you're even on my website. Just click the link on the top of the page and join the Discord. It's not fucking hard. Nuts is a Vashite. Okay, cool. This is like actually like you're using an abuse tactic right now, which is crazy. Because I invited you to come on Takis. You lied about why you didn't want to come on Takis. Because you initially said that you just didn't feel like coming on Takis. And I said, okay, come on my show, I guess, then, if you feel like it. And then you said, actually, I'm banned from Takis. So you lied to me. I've invited you on my show. I've given you, it's a public available Discord that you could click in and join it. But apparently you're too old or too fucking stupid to use Discord. It's very easy to join and get in a phone call with me. Just get in a phone call with me and we can have a conversation. You're trying to say that I'm dodging the real conversation. Do you want to just say things in chat? Okay, so you just want to say things in chat and then I can respond. Okay, great. So if you want me to just lay out my entire argument and you are not capable, like you are not able to insert yourself if I just talk, that's the thing. It's a benefit to you to be able to talk to me live in person, right? So instead, I will react to what you're saying in chat if you want. Okay? So, I mean, like, yeah, a transphobe being abusive to a trans person, crazy. You have 0 counter arguments. Disappointing. So disappointing. Yeah, I mean, like, what did you say that was worth talking about? Did you make a point that was even worth arguing? Like, what is your point? What point did you say? Like, sex segregation is there for a reason? Oh, you mean like in early Olympic history, or like early modern history of the Olympics, with when shooting became a thing that you could do, right? Because we didn't originally have Olympic shooting, you know? So we didn't originally have Olympic shooting, and then it became a thing because guns became a thing, right? So now we have Olympic shooting. When they first started having, like, high-level shooting contests, they did not have a gender requirement. It was just open to anyone. But it so happened that only men joined, right? But then one time a woman signed up and it wasn't explicitly against the rules and she won. The following year of that same contest, or the following time it was held, they said no women allowed. And then the following time that they had the same event, they created a separate women's league. So if you actually look at the kind of creation, first of all, like for a long time, there was no such thing as women's sports, right? It was only men. And then you start letting women participate, and they are capable of competing against men. And then they are suddenly not allowed to participate against men, and they've created a separate league and patted them on the head and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You could never perform against the men, even though you've demonstrably proven that women are fully capable of beating men in sports. So we're just going to create a separate league and patronize you." You know, like, learn a fucking tiny piece of history of the subject that you're trying to discuss with me. I know so much more than you. It's so fun. Do you have anything to say to that? I would like you to address the question of women's sports being segregated even though they just won against men. Why are women not allowed? Oh, and then there was another story. A woman catches up with men in bike marathon, I think is what it was. Oh, yeah, this is from 6 years ago. Oh, man, come on. Yeah, so this is from 2019. Oh my God, CNN, can you get the fuck off my screen? So this is from 2019. A woman cyclist is forced to stop race after catching up with men. So what happened in this situation is the men's race started first and the women's race was afterwards. And she was so much faster than the other women that she was catching up to the men. And then they made her stop and go back to be with the other women. They made her stop because she caught up with the men, because men's sports are segregated to preserve male supremacy, because men's egos can't handle it, because the system, which is designed on the premise that men are stronger than women, has to be preserved. That's why sex is segregated. Do you have anything to say to that? Or, you know, I'm happy to just keep dumping facts on you if you would like. Am I allowed to say the R slur here? You know, keep it, you know, keep it within limits. Refusing to engage while it's literally answering your question. I know that there's a delay. You know, my internet is not as good as it used to be, and there's a delay, so sometimes it just takes a minute because I'm responding, and then it takes like extra time for you to see that I've responded, you know, whatever. So something that we do know about performance is that you do perform worse if you are told you're going to perform worse. So if you would shut the fuck up for a second and listen to me, Weza, stop typing whatever you're typing, okay? From this moment, I know it's going to take a second for you to see me talking and saying this. So shut up for a second and listen to my explanation, okay? When it comes to the performance thing, because I'm fucking right about this, okay? So looking at a separate issue where we've studied performance in another area where people say women naturally don't perform as well as men, math. So we've studied this, and it's shown that, let's say you have a group of girls that you have them take a math test and that's it. The second group of girls, you have them take a math test, but while you're explaining the math test, you say, generally, girls perform worse on this than the boys. That group of girls will perform worse on the test, right? And actually, if you have a group of boys along in the same thing, so you have a group of boys who you have take a math test and you don't say that to, and then you have a group of boys who you say girls tend to perform worse, the boys will also perform worse after you've told them that girls perform worse at math, right? So taking that scientifically proven phenomenon that if you tell someone they're going to be bad at something, then they will be bad at something, the fact of segregated women's sports, when like we know that women are able to compete against men, we've seen it happen. So and also it's a good thing to point out here that Drea adds a number of professional sports are designed in a way that women are not being made to compete numerically. Like they have reduced reps, reduced requirements, reduced laps. Like, so in order to win at the sport, you don't even have to do as much, right? So like there's a huge number of things that go into sports performance, right? And I think that we have a tendency in this conversation to reduce it all down to like one or two biological features, right? Particularly, we tend to reduce this down to like it's a testosterone thing. Oh, testosterone. But okay, so if testosterone is indicative of sports performance, why is it that the highest level performing male gymnasts have like the lowest testosterone um of any sport or whatever the fuck? I lost my sentence right at the end. So yeah, to be fair, and also Weza, I guess you don't know me. I'm not a woman. I don't use she, her pronouns. I am non-binary. You can use they or it. But it's interesting that you keep saying like my arguments are dumb and now I'm refusing to engage because I'm literally sitting here telling you the answer to the questions that you're asking. It's so weird. You people are so weird. Color diversity. Thank you, Zypation. Thank you so much for the donations. Subscribed at the tier 4 level. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I ignored it for so long. I was on a roll. Okay, and that is a $40 donation, which makes the stream goal for today is $93 out of $100. So if we make $7 more, I will show off how much of a sports advantage I have with my big giant muscles. Women are perfectly competitive with men in endurance running. Yeah, there's some evidence that women actually perform better at stamina related sports activities. So like, you know, marathons, like they have better recovery time in between for some reason. Yeah. It looks like Weza is copying and pasting a bunch of insults off a script at regular intervals without actually listening to anything. Yeah, I mean, basically. There's a reason why they won't call in. There's a reason why they won't call in, and it's because they are not able to handle it. Okay, bye. But if you actually leave, like actually leave, that would be fun. I'm really interested to see if this person actually leaves. And then I'm going to permanently nuke them off of Discord and Blue Sky. Because I do think that they just came in here to have fun with us for a few minutes, and it's fine. But it is definitely a huge waste of time, and no wonder they're fucking blocked from Takis. Might as well be a bot. Fucking true. I've heard that women have different types of muscle that is different from men, making them better at endurance type activities where men are burst type activities. So I don't think that women have a different type of muscle. I think that it's just that like the way that estrogen sits in your muscles and like the kind of fibers that it encourages you to create. But like, yeah, I don't think it's like a different type of muscle fiber or anything. But yes, there is, it's something about estrogen causes muscles to recover better in between tasks. Weza's still here, I can see. So like women apparently on a you know, by and large, like can recover a little bit better, and that men have a slight advantage on like, yeah, they have the burst of strength, but it takes them a longer time to recover between events, which means that women are slightly better at endurance sports and that men are slightly better at things that require, yeah, the fact that you can still tag him. It's called slow twitch muscle fiber versus fast twitch muscle fiber. Yeah, but everybody has both, you know? Like everybody has a mixture of both. I just think like the way that people talk about the difference between men and women's bodies is so creepy too. Like that, and it's no wonder why people have this idea that human sexual dimorphism is like a strong, clear delineation. It's just, you know, we're barely sexually dimorphic. Like seriously, compared to most other species, the sexual dimorphism in humans is like almost not even noticeable. Yeah, that's a good point, Baphomet. All of this is pretense anyway, because the goalpost is trans women shouldn't compete with cis women, right? And they will throw up any excuse they need to justify that ideological position. You know, the ideological position that trans women should not compete with cis women. They will. That's the conclusion that they have, and they will come up with any explanation to justify it. So when I say, well, Gwendolyn Christie is an extremely tall woman, do you think that she should not be allowed to play basketball because she's tall like a man is? And then they go, oh well, that's an an aberration or whatever. And I'm like, okay, but the thing is that you're trying to write a rule that is going to impact everybody. So like, if you want a rule about people being too tall to be a fair competition, then write a rule about people being too tall. Don't write a rule that says trans women can't participate, because I can point out Gwendolyn Christie and I can also point out a 5'2" trans woman, and like the rule that says that the 5'2" trans woman can't participate is like preventing her from participating even though she is falling within all the criteria that you're worried about with regards to female performance. But Gwendolyn Christie is allowed, even though she's a freakishly tall woman. I love her so much. I'm just using this language to be emphatic. Yeah, trans women don't perform well on average anyway. It's sexist that they only target trans women athletes but don't say a word about trans men. Yeah, a lot of this type of stuff requires that you ignore that trans men exist. Considering how much more often women's records are getting broken in sports versus men is also something to remember. Men are closer to the theoretical top of performance than women are, and that is shown by growth data in things like women's weightlifting and many track and field events. Yeah, that the whoops, sorry. Uh, women are rapidly improving in their sports. So it's like, something was happening that was preventing women from performing as well, and now that thing is not happening anymore. And so women are breaking records all over the place. And that's, again, completely leaving aside the trans issue. Allison says the data shows that muscle strength comes from the trained ability to activate few or more muscle fibers at once. Humans do not use every fiber at once, or it would cripple themselves. When people work out, they do not get more fibers. Well, yeah, it's about like the strength of those fibers. Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm going to start like a pretty heavy shoulder oriented routine that I'm going to. I realized part of the problem probably for me before with like not reaching my exercise goals was that I, first of all, was not training to failure. I was training to volitional fatigue, which is completely different. And I only just learned what volitional fatigue is. Basically, like working to a point where you're like, oh, this feels hard and I'm going to stop, instead of working to the point where you're like, I physically can't push the bar up again. And you're like, that's to failure. So I need to train to failure more. And also, I would be like sticking with the same exercise routine for like several months when really you're supposed to switch it up like every 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm gonna just like stick to this new shoulders oriented exercise, and then hopefully like round out my shoulders, because again, like I just feel like I look really weird and my arms are just not the right proportions. Baphomet asks, should cis women with gonadal abnormalities or intersex conditions with higher than average levels of testosterone not compete with other cis women? I mean, their answer is almost certainly no, considering how these people treated Iman Khalif. Well, it's not just Iman Khalif, it's also Castor Semenya. Like Castor Semenya having a chromosomal anomaly and a slightly elevated level of testosterone, and now she's not allowed to participate in the same sports that she used to do. She can only participate in some of them, or she can only participate fully if she starts taking hormones or like hormone suppressing medicine or whatever the issue is. Yeah, so obviously the answer to that question is yes, we will also punish women who do not fall into those lines even though they are cisgender. Yeah, it's ideology. None of these people are on a board or committee that decides who qualifies to compete in the Olympics. It's true. Allison expands, saying a weak person will only activate 20 fibers in a lift, whereas the powerlifter will activate 65 fibers out of a given 100. So yeah, the difference between like a weak person and a strong person is just that the strong person like has more available muscle fibers to work with, is kind of what I'm getting the impression is what you're saying. What's up, Dally? Is Weza still in the chat? Caster won multiple events in Rio before the new regulations, and she hasn't been able to participate since then because of how the suppressant medication affects her, which is such bullshit. Yeah, she shouldn't have to basically take, like, chemical castration medicine in order to participate. She, you know, like, these ranges of normative estrogen and testosterone were created by looking at white people, and black people and Hispanic people sometimes fall outside of those limits, right? Like on average, like Latino women have more body hair, right? And that might be because on average they fall outside of what we've decided is the normative range based only on white women. And then you can talk about intersex issues on top of that, right? Like there's so many different layers to this where it's like you don't even have to talk about trans people to talk about the fact that women's sports should not be segregated. Like, period. Katie says, it's because we've actually been putting more money into women's sports. There were 45 NBA-run girls basketball camps last year. 20 years ago, there was only one. I hate Kobe Bryant, but hey, he did start the trend of funding girls basketball. That's fair. Yeah. And I'm guessing that Weza is not in the chat anymore. He said he was going to leave. I don't know if he did. I think it would be very funny if he decided to be fucking annoying for 10 minutes and then decided to just quietly listen and was like, oh no, it turns out I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Because yeah, like we went over that study that shows that how much money is being put into the sports is a better predictor for how well the performance is going to go. Aw, Weza's still here. So yeah, Weza, looking at predictive variables for sports performance, we've actually found that sports funding is the biggest difference. So we would have to start funding girls' sports to the same level that we fund boys' sports, starting in elementary school. Like, they need to have the same coaches, they need to have the same equipment, the same level of funding put into the facilities. And then in 20 years, we can see whether men and women can actually perform against each other at the competitive level. Because let's say right now, today, we decide to desegregate sports. Well, the women who are competing today have a lifelong disadvantage because of the underfunding of the performance, or the underfunding of the sports that they've been in. So, like, there are so many different variables that go into sports performance. It's clearly such a more complicated issue than just Lamau testosterone or like my chromosomes or whatever. So it's really an interesting topic. And I really wish that people, like, I want to directly address this while you're still listening, Weza, and for the purposes of everybody else in here, because it just occurred to me this week that when we're talking about the sports issue and someone says, well, biologically, men perform better than women, that's called a thought-terminating cliche. Because if you say, well, it's biology, then you don't have to look for any further answers. It's also kind of a God of the gaps a little bit, almost like, you know, you when you find the you use God as the explanation, or you use biology as the explanation, and then you just don't have to think about it any further. Like, it's a closed issue, which also means that there's nothing that can be done to equalize the sports a little bit. Like, it basically is a way for you to retreat and say, well, that's just the way it is. And then you don't have to think about the fact that women's sports are underfunded, and you don't have to think about the fact that the highest performing male gymnasts have the lowest testosterone of like the other athletes. Yeah, Andy, welcome to the chat. Hello. Says weight classes is the obvious answer in a lot of sports in which size matters. Yeah. And I'm totally open to still having like some segregation within sports. I just think that it should be off of the actual physical attributes of the athletes in question, rather than like broadly just saying like men can't compete with women and trans people can't compete with cis people. Rather, why would we not have height and weight classes? Like a young woman just won the state wrestling title in Arizona for her weight range. She won against all the other boys in the state in her weight range, because it turns out, again, women are fully capable of performing against men if we start taking away the things that, like, the barriers in place that prevent them from performing to the same level. So, like, telling girls that they are bad at sports by segregating their sports, by underfunding their sports, saying, like, oh, nobody cares about fucking women's basketball until a trans girl is playing, and then suddenly everybody cares. Correcting the issues of funding and quality coaches and quality training and quality equipment. And again, that's not even fucking getting into the fact that we've studied this and trans women don't perform as well on several metrics. You're like, let's say you're a trans woman who transitioned in your adulthood. Like, well, guess what? You're like 6 feet tall, but your muscle does go away somewhat when you start taking estrogen, unless you're actively training. And if you're actively training, then, you know, the type of training that you do might change. But like, now suddenly you're 6 feet tall and you have less muscle to move the same amount of weight, or like the same size of skeleton, right? So like, it's been shown that trans women can't like lift as much on their lower body. I think women should be allowed in men's sports via informed consent. I just think that we should take away the barrier in the first place. Like, what the fuck is the point of the barrier except to be paternalizing, like be paternalistic toward cisgender women and to preserve the ego of the male supremacist machine? Like the idea that men are inherently superior. Yeah, well, you can't even dare let a woman compete because it would prove that men are not superior. Like, it's the amount of work that goes into preserving male sports is wild. I'm listening to Colorado House of Representatives debate about having gender identity on death certificates for transgender and intersex people. Interesting. Oh, and also, just for the sake of amusement, I am interested, I guess, right now in kind of discussing. I agree about removing the barrier, but how do we get from point A to B in the real world? Sure. I think, you know, if we were to baby steps this, because again, the women who are performing today are dealing with a lifetime of disadvantage built up over time. Yeah, creating like a voluntary co-ed league. But also the thing is, if you start integrating sports, you need to crack down on sportsmanlike performance issues, because what will happen is the men will be hostile to the women, and then that is one of the reasons why women like having separatist things, is because the behavior of the male performers is not being addressed, whether that's in chess or darts or fucking marathon running. Like, you have to start taking down the barriers and saying, okay, women can perform consensually if they want to. And if there is any sexism from the men, you're disqualified. You're not allowed to continue being part of this. That is not sportsmanlike behavior. That's my opinion. Is like, that's one of the ways in which we could start desegregating sports and allowing integration here. I got my ass kicked by this one girl when I was 13. It was very, very funny. When she hip tossed me and put me in a cradle, I seriously underestimated her at a wrestling meet. That's fun. Yeah, later, Baphomet. Have a good night. But I am interested in the topic of, like, COVID vaccine and bodily autonomy thing. Because I'm interested in, like, how do we define bodily autonomy around things like public health, you know? Like, I do think that that's an interesting question. It has been the case that these vaccines have been, not the COVID vaccine, but that vaccines in general have been mandatory for a long time, right? Like in order to go to public school, I was required to get certain vaccines, and that was damn near 30 years ago. So it's not like this is a new concept that, like, in order to be around other children, like, I would represent a danger to the other children so much that, like, you know, if you want to not get these vaccines, that's fine, but your kid can't be at school. You have to homeschool, you know? And with things like, let's say, a nurse, when nurses are like, OMG, my bodily autonomy, it's like, no, 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 no. Your job is to care for people who are vulnerable and who, if you get them sick, they could die. So by becoming a nurse, you give up some level of bodily autonomy so that you can fit within the confines of like a system that doesn't worsen people's health outcomes when they could be avoided, right? So those are some really clear, like, it's really clear, like, yeah, we can't like legally require you to vaccinate your children, but we can say that you can't go to public school if you don't, right? And maybe there are certain sports that you won't be able to play if you don't have that vaccine because it requires you to be like up close and personal with other kids. And if you get sick, you could hurt other people, right? And there's also, you know, there's other issues of bodily autonomy that we could look at, like wearing your seatbelt. Like it's against the law for you to not wear your seatbelt while you're driving. Is that a violation of bodily autonomy? Who else is going to be hurt if you launch out of the windshield of your car during a car accident? You could argue that that is a violation of bodily autonomy to require you to strap your body in when you don't want to, right? And so yeah, there's sort of a question of like public health and safety where it is necessary in some cases to give up some amount of personal choice over things in order to fit into a system where your actions affect other people. You can't just not pay taxes, even though some people consider taxation to be a form of theft, but if you refuse to pay taxes and then you keep driving on taxpayer roads, are you not stealing from the entire everybody, the entire culture, the entire society, the country, in fact? Are you not stealing from the country by using those roads and not paying for them? You know, like, in order to participate in a society with other people, you can't just do whatever the fuck you want all the time. I recognize my corpse as a deadly projectile. True. Working as a dietary aide for a nursing home, I decided to start masking again. Also, because I'm in Michigan and tons of shit is going around. I'm glad to hear that you're masking again. You know, it does not fall pleasantly on my ears when I hear that y'all are like working in up close and personal environments and not wearing a mask. So I'm glad that we're seeing more of that. And it's so interesting when people like Weza are against the COVID vaccine, or at least against mandating the COVID vaccine, which it never was, by the way. It never was mandated. There may have been some situations, like I said, where like if you're a nurse and you don't get the COVID vaccine, then you can't keep your job because it's too much of a risk to your patients. You could kill one of your patients. So again, that's a super clear-cut answer. But for you to be anti-vax and also against wearing masks is like, I mean, I didn't realize that we were going to turn a point in our human history here where we're like pro killing old people and like pro disabling fucking fully a third of our workforce. I'm actually contacting my doc about updating my vaccines, like any of the ones that I need updated. Yeah, I really hate that I'm sitting here wondering, like, are we even going to get a new COVID booster later this year? Like, I want one. I deserve the option to buy one if I want one. I should have the bodily autonomy to take the risk of taking the vaccine if I believe that it is going to be helpful for my health. This is also one of the arguments for trans care. Like, I am fully legally capable of taking on the risk of a procedure whose outcome may be unclear, but also I've never been harmed by a vaccine, so and I don't think many people actually have been harmed by a vaccine, so secondary infection is the leading cause of death in hospitals. Right, yeah, and that's shit like stuff wasn't sanitized appropriately or somebody's hands weren't washed cleanly. There's a particular word for it too. There's a particular word for an infection that you picked up in the hospital. Like you were seeking medical care for something else and you ended up with COVID, or you ended up with an infection that you got at the hospital. But anyway, yeah, no, it's a good idea to check and see if you can get any of your vaccines updated, because we might lose access to them. Or like at the very minimum, there might be less funding for vaccines moving forward, as well as the research for, creating the new vaccines. I know that there was something regarding the flu vaccine where there's a committee that every year convenes to determine which strains of the flu they're going to focus on in order to create that year's flu vaccine. And I think that meeting was like disbanded. So we do not have a clear idea of what flu needs to be fought this year for this year's flu season. So I might run and grab some water. I don't really have a lot else as far as news for today. I want to go finish filming something, but I'm hooked on the Weza drama and can't leave. I know. At least he's still listening, Because I do think people who disagree with me about the trans thing, they probably could benefit any trans thing, whether it's sports or whatever. I do think that it would be worth it to listen to me talk about other topics, because it gives you a rounded idea of like what kind of approach I take when discussing topics in general. And I personally think that listening to me talk about anything that I'm interested in is a good way to learn that like I care about facts and like I try to think about things fully, and I tend not to follow mainstream narratives about things. So if you find me falling into a mainstream narrative, it's because the mainstream happened to get it right that once. Didn't Iowa just ban mRNA vaccines and also require full liability for all vaccines, so they effectively banned all vaccines? So mRNA vaccines are very uncommon. That's not what most vaccines are doing. mRNA vaccines it's like the Pfizer and the Moderna, but if anything, I feel like this means that we should get more Novavax vaccine, which is more effective than the mRNA vaccines and is more traditional as far as like it doesn't make your body produce the spike protein. So yeah, I'm personally of the opinion that like I don't think that we should ban mRNA vaccines, but I think that if we could put more funding into stuff like Novavax, that would probably be better. I will look to Canada if I have to get a valid update. Right. Am I going to yeah, I'll drive to Canada and pay for them to give me an updated vaccine. I got one like in August last year. I think it was August that I got my booster most recently. I kind of want to see if like I can get Novavax, but ooh, Kitty wants to show something in stream chat. Stream chat channel. Where am I? Here am I. Ooh, okay. Thank you for the corridor video, Drea. I'll check that out later. Kitty wants to show us. Why is this not letting me open it in a different window? Okay, well, whatever. Ah! Oh my god. Okay. Here's Kitty's setup. Planted a peach tree, a cherry tree, a nectarine, pomegranate, and pomegranate. Those are the two little bushes. That's nice. I like how the gorse Or is that what this is? The yellow stuff? Whatever the yellow stuff is in the background is pretty. I like it. Also, I have a bunch of this shit on the ground in my garden plot, and I do not know what it is. Anyway. Used the cement mixer to blend soils and nutrients. Nice. Oh, yeah. I think, man, I need to really plan the next couple of days of my life a little bit better because I need to know, like, I need to actually figure out when I'm gonna edit. Hello, Baphomet. Yes, welcome. Welcome back. Okay, yes, I am going to be on Takis tomorrow. To be clear, I will be on Takis tomorrow and, like, fucking... So the next 2 weeks, and then not the 20th, and then yes on the 27th. So, yeah. Bye, Nouvenon. Oh, yeah. Yeah, smell you later, noobs. I'm out of here actually sits outside the window to hear what they're saying about me. True. Yellow stuff is the gorse. Okay, yeah. It's pretty. I know it might be, like, annoying, but it is pretty. Okay, I'm gonna get myself some water, and then I will come back, and we'll keep chatting, and maybe I'll start playing a game so that I can entertain myself a little bit while we chat about whatever. But yeah, back in a minute. Okay, hello, I'm back. Hello, hello, hello. I can't decide on supper. Yeah, someone else is making supper tonight. That's great. Okay, let's see. Vegan fish fillets. Nice. That seems like a yummy. Yummy, 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 yummy. Yummy, 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 yummy. Okay. What else do we have going on today? Or this week? Anything exciting? Can we get $7 more on the donations so that I can at least say I hit the stream goal today? That would be great. Hail hydrate. Yes. I'll drink to that. Yeah, true, Ari. Ari says, I hate the trans care for minors debate. If we are okay with teenagers driving 2-ton trucks, getting pregnant, having babies, signing up for the military, and getting a job, they can have trans care. True. Yeah. I like to liken it to other things that kids do with parental permission. Like there is such a thing as, like, a mommy-daughter nose job day, right? Like, where a mom will take her teenage daughter and they'll both get rhinoplasty, or they'll both get a boob job. And if it's okay, if you don't think that should be illegal, and you wouldn't support a law passing right now, like, if you don't think that parent has the ability to decide whether their child is mature enough to make that decision, right? Because, like, and this other stuff too, at age 16 you can get a tattoo with parental consent in most places. So, like, do you think that that should be illegal? That there should be no loophole for parental, like, for the parent to decide that the kid has the level of maturity required to hang on to, like, you know, deal with that long-term consequence, potentially. I ate some chili today. It was delicious. Ooh, it's about to not be chili season anymore. I feel like chili is a pretty exclusively wintertime or like late autumn kind of food. And my husband also isn't like a huge fan of chili, which is why I don't make it that much. Oh, I don't want to kill any of these guys right now because the quest is to kill these guys, and therefore I want to go around them and not have to kill any. What are you showing me? You sending me a picture? What do you got? I was watching Nosferatu 1922 earlier, and is it just me, or do the Hutters kind of look like a lesbian couple? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, a little bit. Chili is an all-seasons food if you're from Texas. I mean, it's just so hot. Oh no! No! He attacked me. My other argument is that people that state that children don't have the maturity to make the decision for major surgery and whatnot, oh, yeah, for sure. Like, okay, but and also, like, you think a teenager can choose to play football, which is known to have, like, a high incidence of injury and regret. People are just so fucking weird. Max Hutter has T-girl swag, or maybe Futch swag. I was gonna say Futch. It's kind of what it looked more like to me. Oh, man. I honestly cannot recommend, like, getting out and going for a walk enough. It's like, not only is it good exercise, but also just looking at pretty things and going like, yeah, I like that, and having the person you're walking with go, yeah, I like that too. I think it's just good to mentally be in that space of appreciating stuff more. And, like, we walked around and, like, technically we went shopping today, but we didn't buy anything. So we, like, came home and we didn't have anything to bring inside. Kitty also brings up that if a kid decides they want to be an astronaut, that's a decision that you really need to make by the age of 10. Same for being a professional athlete. And attempts at going pro end with hundreds of thousands of injuries per year. Yeah, like, you gotta start going to astronaut camp at age 10 or whatever, and you lock in that. And other stuff too, like dance. That they'll let little kids do dance, even though dance has a pretty high incidence of, like, permanently fucking with your ankle bones. But, you know, nobody's making it illegal for little kids to learn to dance. And, you know, arguably, there would not even be such a thing as like, high-level modern dance because of the physical demands that it places on people if you didn't start them super young, and then their bodies are, like, formed in order to do that particular task. But that causes them, like, dysfunction in other areas in their lives. Maybe even in most other areas of their lives. We have this weird stance in the United States of, like, children have no rights in some areas, but then in other areas they're allowed to do all kinds of crazy shit. Yeah, absolutely. Focusing on all the wrong things. Right, like, why are we not focusing on the problem of young women's ankles being all fucked up from starting dance class at a young age, right? Like, why is that not a greater topic of conversation? And, like, ultimately it's because we don't really care about children except when they can be used as a prop to pass some political agenda. I think we still have no legal age for marriage federally. Yeah, they're like, that's states' rights. It's states' rights to marry a 12-year-old so long as you have parental consent. Like, and that, like, it's fucked up too, because in these states where it's, like, legal for a 13-year-old to be married off with parental consent, she doesn't have the right to seek a divorce until she's 18. So she's just like a sex slave for 6 years. And these are often also places that don't have any provisions for marital rape. Like, there just is no such thing as rape in the context of a marriage in some places. So, just, like, again, just a sex slave. It's crazy. Sometimes I'll walk alone and still say out loud, ooh, I like that. Yes, Yes, that's the energy, Miles. Great name. Good energy. Good stuff. Depends on the kid. Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, of course it depends on the kid. Like, it depends on the kid, and like, different ages for different kids are going to be different. You know, you might have a kid that's really advanced in something at a younger age, and your other kid is much slower at that same thing, or what have you. Like, there's so many different variables. If a kid has turned on mentally enough to say, by age 6, I want this because this makes me unhappy, you should probably start teaching them how to understand those feelings instead of just saying, oh, that feeling will go away. Truly. Like, at least giving the kid a venue to talk about it. But, you know, we're asking a lot of people who don't have the emotional intelligence skills, right? You have to really like go through therapy or like really be focused on your healing in a particular way in order to like come from an environment where nobody was asking you how you felt, people were telling you to keep your feelings to yourself or whatever, and then to even know that there's a different option, like a different way of doing things. Oh, no mana. Like, for the parents, I understand like why a lot of parents are bad parents, and it's because their parents were bad parents, and it's fucking hard to break out of those cycles. It's too bad Weza didn't show up today, but also I am probably going to feel relieved tomorrow during Takis that I didn't have to do like 2 days of arguing with fucking idiots in a row. Oh boy. Ulamu says, I know bigot conservatives just focus on trans people because of the possible lack of fertility by transition medically. Anyway, I advocate for infertility, making family on making family based on blood is ew. That's an interesting perspective. Um, I mean, they say that they're concerned about fertility, and maybe they are to some extent because they are kind of creepily obsessed with the idea of maintaining a certain level of white people in the population, and for their financial reasons, they have to maintain a certain level of population period to ensure that there are enough workers. So, like, it kind of makes sense on some level for them to be, like, obsessed with fertility. But if you're talking about 2% of the population, and this issue often comes up when we're talking about children. Like, why are you thinking about how fertile these children are? Again, it makes sense. These are the same people who are okay with legalized child marriage. So, like, of course, it's not weird to them to think about how fertile your average 13-year-old is. I'm 32 and I really wish trans awareness was more prevalent in my youth. The second I heard the term non-binary, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. Yeah, I'm old enough that the term that was popular at the time was genderqueer and not non-binary. So for a long time, I personally identified as genderqueer because that's just what the common word was in the circles that I was in around that time in like 2008. So yeah, like it is like, yeah, like 2008 when I was initially realizing that I was trans. So yeah, genderqueer is the term that I have always that I stuck with for a long time. I don't use genderqueer anymore. I just say non-binary. My personal actual gender, I don't think I really have one. So I'm like, I identify as a gender, but even that level of specificity is often not necessary. So I'll just say I'm non-binary, and it is good to have the language to describe it. I happened to be exposed to these concepts at the right time. I never even had genderqueer as a kid. Yeah, well, you know, if you're 32, like Miles is 32, you were on the same internet that I was, basically. Like, you know, or maybe you just didn't have LiveJournal, right? Like, LiveJournal was where the trans conversation was when I was coming out. I also identify as a gender. Haha. Not telling you which one, though. True. it's really hard to see my screen with how white the light is behind my screen. I never really realized this. But like having like the dark colors that I have on the screen, maybe I just need to increase my brightness. I'm just prone to migraines, so I don't ever want to turn the brightness up on my monitors. I'm older than 32. Sure. Get out of here, other druid. I fucking hate you. Not true. It's not true. I'm just trying to find the things that I need. I'm gonna whack him to death with my staff. Oh gosh. Man, it's only 2.5 hours and I'm already like kind of bored and I feel like I don't have anything to talk about. I had Tumblr for a bit, but did not hear about non-binary as an option until I moved out west and got more queer friends. Well, it's good to have queer friends. JK, it's MTFTM. I mean, are you? Does it count as being MTFTM if you're like still kind of non-binary, or is that just like how we're describing our physical transitions? Oh, wait. I need this. Oh, but I can't pick it up because my fucking inventory's full. Hold on. Oh, get rid of that silver leaf. I don't need that. Being on a server that all the rest of my characters are not on is a pain in the butt. Later, Andy. Have fun. It turns out the septum ring, blue hair, and pronouns were inside me the whole time. Sometimes I genuinely feel like I'm lacking something as a non-binary person because I don't have a septum and I have no interest in getting one either. Like, my nose is so off-center, I think that a septum would look bad, and also, like, I just think it would be really annoying all the time. My whole vibe for about 15 years now is just escaping all the boxes I've been put in. Each time I find refuge in a new, less defined term, it feels like society rushes in to fill in the walls and box me in again. I've come to say I'm gender 404, then explain I can't find a term to define my gender I'm comfortable with, so I'm just myself. Please treat me as a person. Yeah. I can totally see how that makes sense. Right, like, that's part of why I don't prefer to use they, them pronouns primarily anymore, because I feel like a they is a concept that I don't fit into. And like the idea of an it, like the it is much more nebulous, or at least the it like suggests things that I agree with rather than being something that is, you know, like a construct that I don't identify with. My blue hair, lack of patience, testosterone-fueled temper was always destined for me. I just needed to make it to 32 to figure it out. Yeah. I need one more of these things to pick up off the ground. The game is very easy at this stage. And I'm only half paying attention, so. Excuse me. A biological meat sack. It's true. I'm in a biological meat sack. Oh yeah, Kitty, when is the weather gonna get nice in Tillamook? If I want to take my family to the beach, I want it to be on like a day that's like relatively warm and kind of sunny. Is that gonna happen anytime soon, or should I wait until like April? I've started accepting whatever people throw at me. If someone is obviously trying to do something designed to hurt my feelings, I will sometimes misgender them in response, but otherwise just let me be me. Yeah, I really don't bother to correct people in person. Like, we've talked about this. I don't really care. I think people are mostly going to see me as a female, and I just don't care. It doesn't hurt me in any way. Like, let some fucking idiot try to victimize me because I'm female. Like, no. I was considering going to a comedy show this weekend, and then I was like, first of all, I don't want to spend that money right now. You know, we're still trying to make smart decisions. But also, like, I'm not trying to hang out inside. As another member of Willamette Valley, the weather will get nicer. Yep. Well, no, it's nice in the valley. It's like, I mean, it was like sunny earlier, I think. Like, there's plenty of sun here. I mean, on the coast. It seems like the coast is much more, like, rainy and cloudy. About a month. Tides should be relaxing towards the end of March. I would say late April, early May is the best time because of all the flowers everywhere along the drive. Okay. I don't want to wait forever because I want my family to be able to, like, my younger sibling has never seen the ocean, and I have never seen the Pacific Ocean, so I want to go, but I'm just, like, waiting for a day that's nice enough to get, like, at least some kind of sunniness. I gotta go fucking do this thing over here. God damn it. Teldrassil always goes so hard. I like how both of you said that at the same time. Second best vanilla starting zone behind Mulgore. Dude, I agree. Mulgore is beautiful. It is, like, the only good thing about playing Horde. Oh, man. And I want to go to the Tillamook Creamery. My friend Silent told me I really need to go to Astoria. And there's other places along the coast too. Like, I mean, like Newport is a tourist place, right? So I think there's probably something appealing about going to Newport, right? I play both factions, but my heart is with the Horde. I don't know. My husband got me on Alliance first, so I think for me it's the Alliance. It's hard to beat the Night Elf Druid, like, as far as encapsulating me as a human person. Astoria is cool. You can camp at Fort Stevens on the ocean. Ooh! One thing I like about retail, the fact that the faction divide is basically nil at this point. Oh, man. I actually got kind of annoyed at the fact... So basically, guys, for those of you who don't know, we're not going to talk about this very much, but, like, in this part of the game, like, in the original World of Warcraft, you had to choose one team or the other, and you couldn't be on both teams, like, even on the same server. Like, you can't have Alliance and Horde on the same server, right? So now you can, but the reason why I was so annoyed is there was a guy on our team who was, like, stealing kills from my partner. Like, my partner was trying to quest, so he was like, I'm killing all of these cats in this area. Like, I'm killing all these tigers in this area. And some guy on our team, in our guild, actually, was, like, had, like, the ability to use ranged attacks instead of melee attacks. Like, my partner was on a melee character. And yeah, it's like, that's what I would call antisocial behavior if I was reporting it on, like, Blue Sky. It's only true of PvP realms. Okay, sure. I've never not played on a PvP realm, so if that's not a broad prescription, then I don't know. I don't ever play PvE. But my partner was like, I'm kind of mad right now that I don't have a character on the opposite faction on this server, because I would like to kill this guy for being a jerk to me even though we're on the same team. Kitty says, it's hard because predicting weather is basically 50-50 when we're this close to the Arctic Circle. There is cool stuff all along the coast. I would check if the sea lions are in their cave right now. That's a pretty neat spot in Florence. It's the largest sea cave in the US, and you can fit a cathedral in it. Ooh, that's fun. Oh, I'm sorry, Martian NB. I am not going to help you. I think it makes it difficult to avoid playing WoW when you're around other people who are playing it or talking about it. So I'm sorry. It's not the beach, but Sun River, Oregon is pretty great. The High Desert Museum is pretty cool to visit. Yeah, I don't really have any burning desire to visit the eastern part of Oregon at the moment, but I'll keep it in mind. Later, kitty. Have fun. I honestly might log off before terribly long. Not like immediately, but again, I just feel like I'm running out of shit to say. But I'm also not going to stream on Sunday, so maybe we should try to make this a nice full one. Oh man, I keep running out of mana like a fucking goober. I love watching WoW because I know I can't play it again. I loved it far too much. And hate reality too much as well. Yeah, oh man, I'm gonna die, huh? Accidentally aggroed another mystic. And I have no mana, so let's see if I can live. Oh, I don't have thorns. Okay, well, that doesn't help. You could visit Crater Lake. Not quite ocean, but some good hiking. Yes. So, yeah, I'm trying to get my partner kind of into the idea of maybe, going hiking with me. So finding cool, beautiful places to visit is going to be part of that, I'm certain. Pulled the mystic. Yeah, I know. What's going on Sunday for you? So Sunday is daylight savings, and that would basically mean that I would have to wake up and do a stream at what feels like 10 a.m. for me, and I'm not gonna do that. I know I have a health potion, I didn't need it. But, yeah, so I just think that it probably is not gonna be my favorite thing if I have to wake up super early to do a stream and, like, losing an hour of sleep and everything, so I'm just not gonna stream on Sunday. I think I have the right to take that day off. I'm gonna make that decision for myself. You know, one good thing is I did just see an article saying that Trump was going to eliminate... Oh, no, I aggroed 3 of them. I have to run away now. That Trump was going to eliminate daylight savings. And this is why there is an appeal to having a dictator, because it is so much easier to get things done in a dictatorship. 10 a.m. is super early for you. Super early to do a show. How often do you wake up and fucking within an hour or two of getting out of bed, you have to perform for hundreds of people? Yeah, it's like, it's not early for me to, like, be out of bed, but it's early for me to be fucking talking to you people. Oh, keeping in mind that there's a delay. Yeah, no worries. Thank you, Drea, for the $10 dono. Hey! Drea has gotten us to our stream goal for today. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Gold! That's $103. Yeah, baby. Okay, cool. And now... This is the progress flex. This is tomorrow I'm starting a very shoulder-heavy workout regimen. And we're going to see how it turns out. I don't know that you guys have ever seen this shirt before. Anyway. Like, let's see. My left arm always looks bigger. Like a little bit of fat back here, but mostly apparently I just have a massive tricep situation back here. Can I don't know if this is even doable. Like, Trying to show off the back muscles. I don't know what it looks like. Good starting point. Thank you. Yeah. So it turns out that I do have like a slightly, like I guess a natural, slightly increased amount of muscle compared to other people. But yeah, my semicolon tattoo. Oh man, not paying attention. I have to be awake at like 6:30 a.m. and I'm talking to all my bosses and potentially the CEO of my company by 7. Yeah, I'm just not on that sleep schedule right now. That would be very early for me. We're typically waking up at like 8, you know, and I'm sure that my schedule is going to be impacted when my partner starts working again soon. Like, I'm going to be waking up earlier probably. After my revision for my top surgery, I will start a workout routine. Hey, congrats! I hope that your surgery goes well. There's like some guy that I need to kill here too, like where there's just one guy and I need his jewel. Or no, is it that guy that I have to kill Ferocitus the Dream Eater? I can never remember this quest. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's hard to keep up a routine. And like trying to figure out when I'm going to exercise, like what time of day is the right time of day. There's all kinds of little things that go into it. And, you know, how do I balance like taking time out of my work day to exercise versus like how much work am I going to do? So it's tough. Everybody's got their like thing that they're dealing with. Everybody's usually got more than one thing that they're dealing with. Can you imagine only having one thing? Like only one problem? That would be incredible. Now I'm going to smack him with my staff. Workout routines are rough to balance. Yeah. Well, I think the great thing, and if this is something that's kind of caused me a sort of sense of relief, is that you're supposed to switch to a different set of exercises in 4 to 6 weeks. So regardless of how well balanced any particular workout routine is, do it for 1 month and then change to something else. And like that's what you're supposed to do, apparently, according to like science or whatever, according to the studies on the subject. Who am I supposed to kill to get the jewel? Like some guy? I don't know, we'll figure it out. One of my partners set an alarm in my phone for exercise for me. Man, it wouldn't work for me if it was an alarm. I just fully am not responsive to alarms, and it's very frustrating. Where's Talon Kai? I need to kill him. Wait, did I get something in my... Oh yeah, I have to open this necklace. Aha, I found it. Okay, great. Now I just need to kill one more mystic. And isn't it convenient that that one respawned? Body doubling is the only way for me. Yeah. It's definitely tough. Like, I feel like it's hard for me to start, like, oh, I'm gonna do an exercise routine, and, like, someone might interrupt me during it. I'm just like, just don't talk to me when I'm trying to exercise, you know? I can't hear the music. If you can hear the music, let me know. I think maybe I turned it back down because I was playing on my own again. Is there anything else that we should chat about today? I'm not able to hear the music. Okay, I didn't think that you could. Let me turn it back up. There, it's back up a little bit. I don't know. You may or may not be able to hear it now. computer is working hard. Sat down at my desk and find out I have a package. Oh no! I thought that's what you wanted. I thought you wanted a package. No package. Rip. It's really interesting, like, how much more work actually goes into creating a live stream than you would think. Like, it's harder to do my job now that I don't want to pay attention to the news throughout the week, because it means that I'm not as prepared with, like, here's the news stories that I want to dive into. Oh, nope, that's not. I got a package yesterday and now my car works again. Hey, good going. Would you guys ever be interested in the chat can participate in the game type of game? Because there's like Jackbox games where users can log in. I've never really done it before for stream, but I guess I'm curious if anybody has ever wanted to do that kind of thing with this channel. News is so depressing. Who wants to dive into that void? True. Yeah, but it's like, if I'm not keeping up with the news in order to talk about that, then there has to be something else that I'm doing, and I don't know, I don't really know what that thing should be, if not, politics. It's like, okay, it basically seems like I need to do stuff during the week that is then something I can talk about on stream. Co-op games are fun. Also, when is your partner gonna show up here? Oh, I'll let him know that people are asking. Like, maybe next Wednesday. I don't know, we'll see. Just make him come stand here with me. Or I guess we could sit down. I could lower the desk, like, all the way down, and he could sit on the, beanbag chair that I have over here. We could do, like, a little town hall. Or something, I don't know. Sit on the floor. He's chill. He's a chill dude. I promise. Take my word for it. He's nice. Yeah, co-op games are good. Playing Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. I really like that game. I haven't met anybody else who likes that game. I do think it would be kind of funny, the idea of like, oh wow, why are all of you over here? If chat had the... like, if you guys are like telling me what to do, and then there's the delay on the chat, I think that would be kind of fun. Because Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, like, the premise of that game is that one person is trying to defuse the bomb, but the other person can't see their screen, and the other person has a manual to defuse the bombs. So it's fun. You should join D&D and embrace the nerdity. D&D is in fashion, too. I did play D&D a little bit. I ended up feeling like I didn't vibe very well with the group, and they wanted to start really late at night, and it just didn't work for me. But I'm interested, conceptually. Oh, you're just telling me for in the Discord. Yeah, I meant for stream. Like, is there a game that we should play on stream to make it, like, more fun? I'm out of mana. No. Jackbox games are very fun, and I think they'd work out fine with the inherent time delay. Cool. I'll keep that in mind. Because I'm just trying to figure out, like, is there something else that we should be doing on streams that is more exciting or more interactive or something. If there's a totally different subject matter. Obviously, when I start writing scripts, I'm going to be like, oh, so because I was writing a script, I was looking at this, I was looking at this. Oh my god, my brain just cleared out. Gayfesh came in and I was like, hey, it's my friend. Hi, Gayfesh, how's it going today? Yo, I watched those 4 episodes of Andor. Wow. I was like, I did consider messaging in the group chat and being like, here's some commentary. I'm just going to hold on to all my commentary, but wow. Long story short, wow. God damn it, how dare you resist my fucking moonfire, you piece of shit. I just gotta say, I love Andy Serkis. I will watch anything that Andy Serkis is in. I'm kind of annoyed that he is going to be at Planet fucking the Kansas City Comic-Con event, which like Planet Comic-Con or whatever it's called. I'm like, damn it, I would have liked to meet him. I'm not there yet. I'm watching Daredevil. Yeah, no worries. It's funny. Since we recorded that podcast episode, I have watched those 4 episodes twice already, and I don't even need to watch them for 2 weeks. Or a week and a half now, I guess. We're going to record the next episode. Yeah, it was just really good. It's really good. 13 going on 30 is going on the podcast list. Sure. Yeah. Andy Serkis plays the gay boss. Sure. That seems fun. Okay, I killed those ambushers. Oh, man. Oh, I don't want to go in there. I'm not going to go in there. I refuse to do that. Not gonna do that. It's just not happening. I don't want to fucking go in there. I'm like I'm thinking about watching the Planet of the Apes movies, because I know that Andy Serkis is in several of those. It's just so good. He is like, also interestingly, he's now played 2 characters in Star Wars, because he was the voice of Snoke and also Coney. It's just fun. But yeah, let's start an era of the podcast that is just any movie Andy Serkis has been in. He's a cool dude. The Apes movies are so fucking good. Okay, good to know. Okay, I'm glad. That's a high recommendation. I trust your opinions about movies for the most part, so. I was talking to Silent the other day. Yeah, Kino Loy. I was talking to Silent the other day about how, like, sometimes you'll watch the same movie as Demon Mama, and then the kind of commentary that Demon Mama has you questioning whether you have watched the same movie. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I appreciate how dramatically different her perspective is on things, though, because it makes me think about stuff in a new way that I didn't think about it before. But I just thought it was funny that, like, Demon Mama having an opinion that is so dramatically different from mine. I'm like, I am not the only person who feels that way about her opinions. Like, where are you even, like, what movie did you even watch? In a loving way, though. Snoke equals knockoff Jar Jar Binks. Did people hate Snoke the way that they hated Jar Jar Binks? It was a different kind of hatred, a different flavor in the galaxy. But yeah, anyway, if you were wondering whether or not you should watch Andor, the answer is yes, you should. I do maintain she's a bit of a killjoy sometimes. Sure. You're like a closer friend of hers. I feel like you can get away with saying that. But she also likes things in a way that I find surprising sometimes too. And I'm like, oh, there is a different way of appreciating that. Okay, cool. But yeah, a new episode of the podcast just came out. I was going to ping in the Discord about it yesterday, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to upload this video really quick. And so I don't want to do a double ping, but I should at least do one wrap-up ping in there where I'm like, yo, here's all of the MCU movies that we reviewed on the podcast. If you want to play catch-up, now is the time, because we're about to start a new season. New season of the podcast. My partner and I have a marathon of the old ones and then the new ones. The Star Warses, we did the same thing recently. We watched all 3 of the old ones, and I was not paying very close attention, so I'm gonna have to do it again. And then we watched the prequels, which I was paying a little bit more attention to, but they're kind of bad, so it's easy to ignore them. Excuse me. And then I watched the most recent 3, and I actually brought it up during the podcast and embarrassed myself by bringing up The Rise of Skywalker on the podcast. Oh, the Ape movies. Oh, okay. I don't really have any interest in watching the old Planet of the Apes movies. Star Wars Marathon is always good, though. Man, I'm so ruined on my main character where I actually have a mount. Then I'll play on a lower level character and I'll try to mount up and I can't. Okay, I don't know anything about Daredevil, possibly. The old Planet of the Apes movies are definitely something. My Polycule did a whole marathon of all the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. They're so hilarious because Brosnan seems ever more visibly drunk with each subsequent movie. That's funny. Stop aggroing to me. I don't like you. I don't want to see you. You're not my friends. Should I see the movie Queer? Queer. It has fucking Craig in it. Daniel Craig. Is that right? A friend of mine recommends watching all of the MCU in chronological order. Claims it's a great experience. Like, what, do you start with Captain America the First Avenger? Is that how that works? I don't really feel like it's that different of an experience. With, I mean, you know what I mean? I just feel like it wouldn't make that big of a difference. Where am I going? Over here. Oh, I died. Oh, shoot. I'm so close to Dolinar, though. Not a big deal. Wasn't Aggro the name of the horse in Shadow of the Colossus? I don't know. I didn't see Shadow of the Colossus or whatever. But aggro obviously is short for aggressive, and it refers to when an NPC, you get too close to a hostile NPC and they run over and attack you. TLDR is like the main way that we define aggro. But it also is like, if you're the tank, then you want to keep aggro, and you don't want the DPS to pull aggro. And sometimes when you're playing World of Warcraft and your wife comes over and says, hey, can you get off the game and come help me with something? You say, hey guys, I gotta leave, I got wife aggro. And then you log off. Where am I going? The graveyard, obviously. True. Ding. I watched a fan edit that put all the MCU scenes in chronological order. Okay. My partner jokingly said, that's it, now I'm playing WoW. I'm sorry. But maybe I'll have to try that sometime. I mean, it's like I'm endeavoring on like a fucking 2-week-long thing if I'm gonna watch all the MCU movies, so maybe I won't ever do this, but I do think it's an interesting concept. Partner aggro is the most dangerous in MMOs. That's true. Kid aggro is pretty dangerous too. Sometimes you got kid aggro, which is a whole other beast. They stopped updating the edit, but the whole Thanos snap bit got very crowded. Lots of depictions of the snap / the reversal in subsequent MCU media. Sure. Did it include all of the TV shows or just the movies? Because things are getting out of control if you're including the TV shows. Later, Martian NB. Have a good night. Oh, jeez. Oh, man, that's telling me to go to Darnassus. Like, do I even want to keep questing in Teldrassil? I could just go to Darnassus. I could gain one more level and then go to Darnassus, so at least I can see the Druid Trainer there. Okay, that means that I need 2... Oh, I should try to find one more Falcone, at least. And then I can turn that motherfucker in. Turn it in. Oh, there it is. Found one. The fan edit was released in chapters, so sometimes an update to the edit only required downloading specific chapters that got updated, and they would add new chapters as new movies came out. Okay. So it was like in pieces, not all... Not like one big video or something. Please just let me be a WoW streamer. I'm beseeching the fucking universe. I want to be a WoW streamer and a video essayist who also has a side channel for gardening and all that shit. I like how him have flowers around his ankles. Look at you with your pretty flowers around your ankles. For the TV shows, it's mostly just, okay, and this part is just the entire season untouched. Right, because it just is, like, in between events of the main movies, or preceding events from the main movies. This guy is a demon guy, and I'm gonna turn him into a thing, I think. Not the— oh, yeah, turned him into a frog, you son of a bitch. Sucks to suck. You're a frog now. Sucks to be you. Ha 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 ha. Got Takis tomorrow at noon. It's gonna be good. What's up, Heathen Granny? The only WoW streamer I can think of is Asmongold, so it's not exactly a great label. That's fair. I mean, it's like, I'm just saying, like, I want to be able to play WoW in the background, not paying any attention to it, not really drawing much attention to it at all, and read the chat, and, like, talk to you guys about whatever. I just want to do it with WoW on the screen. I don't even want to be good at it. I just want to be, like, I just want to run around, because it helps keep me occupied. Like, helps me think a little bit. And, like, sometimes I lose track of what I'm saying, but I lose track of what I'm saying when I am devoting my full attention to the chat. I know a WoW streamer who's a trans girl. Her name is Steph Sanyati, and she's very cool. That's the only WoW streamer I know. Her Twitch stream is basically just like, yeah, gather around the campfire, we're gonna get cozy. And she also works for, like, a company now that is working on increasing the representation of women in gaming, like, as industry professionals and stuff, so she's doing some neat stuff. I don't ever hang out in her chat, but, you know, we appreciate the work she's doing. And, like, Steph used to get into all kinds of trouble and stuff. Like, she used to do all kinds of things that you would not want to do, just because it was just, like, a vulnerable time in her life. So for her to be in this position now where things are more settled, feels good, man. But she plays retail, and I will fucking die in a fire before I play retail ever again. It's just not gonna happen. I guess if you are a WoW streamer, then you are the only person in the world who I think is allowed to be as big of a dick as people can sometimes be about other people not playing the game very well. People really act like playing WoW, and I know that Folding Ideas has this longer video about, like, why it's rude to be bad at Warcraft, but I truly do think it's quite amazing how butthurt people are about folks just like there are new people coming into this game all the time. There are people returning to this game who haven't played in more than a decade, you know. And like I have my fair share of frustrations, you know, especially because I'm a tank on my main right now. So this is a druid, right? And I have another druid, she's my main, and when I'm doing a dungeon, it's usually easier if I tank rather than trying to wait to find another person to do damage. And I have the option to just be doing damage, but I might as well tank, right? So I do find it frustrating when people are consistently pulling aggro, like attacking something that I'm not attacking, and then I have to run around and try to grab all of the aggro so that the other characters don't die, and so that my healer can focus on just healing me. And so yeah, it's like I get frustrated, and sometimes I'll say stuff like, hey bro, can we wait like 5 seconds for me to get aggro, please, before you start attacking? That would be great. And sometimes I'm a little salty, right? But I'm not like a dick about it. And then there are people on here who are like, you're wasting my time, and they'll leave the party. And you're like, dude, you're so rude. Heathen Granny says, I want to ask this trans girl out that I really like and have a huge crush on her, but I don't think she's into me. Well, you know, typically in this situation, the worst thing that's going to happen is that your relationship has to stay the same way that it is now, you know? You can just be like, hey, as long as it's not like somebody you work with, you know, don't be weird to people you work with. Generally, I think it's, you know, better to wait until you have a well-established mutual interest. It's funny, when I was actually tanking, I would get in the zone, but I would seldom queue up because of tank anxiety. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I don't know that I've ever had tank anxiety, but maybe that's because I queue up with a pocket healer. That does make a little bit of difference. Like, we're leveling druid and priest right now together, and so my partner is the holy priest, and I am the feral druid, so I just don't have to really worry too much. Because I'm like, I know that I have a competent healer. And I used to tank on my paladin back in the day. That was during Cataclysm, though. It's totally different. I guess I can go to Elwyn Forest now, probably. But just, like, make the 10 million mile walk over there. I know that healing is definitely not for me. Healing, you kind of have to be, like, a dom to be a good healer. You have to be willing to just let people die when they do stupid shit. Okay, what was the quest that you just gave me? Mossy tumors. Ew. Oh, I don't want a quest here anymore. I want to leave. Ember gives the advice, let people know how you feel. If they're emotionally mature, they can say they're interested or not, and either way you can discuss it like adults. If they aren't mature enough to have that discussion, then you probably don't want to date them as much as you would have thought. That's a good point. But I know that, like, you know, if it's somebody that you have, you know, if it's awkward or whatever, if you're working with someone, you can't know. Sometimes they might not be an emotionally mature person, and the problem then isn't that you don't get to date them. The problem then is that they might go, like, tell other people or make fun of you or something. Like, I get it. I understand why people are hesitant to make that move, because you just might not know what level of emotional maturity that person is at in how they can respond. I'm debating whether I'm gonna make the trek across now, or if we'll do that, like, the next time. We might do that the next time. I'm heading to this inn. Well, I guess, why am I heading all the way to the inn? I'm such a goober. I don't have to go to an inn. I'm in fucking Darnassus. I can just log out anywhere. So I'm gonna go next to the portal, and I'll log out near the portal. Bouncy, bouncy. Love me a night elf. Night elves are good. Big Goober reporting for duty. Salute. Once in Wrath, I was in an Oculus group, and the healer didn't know how to use the green dragon, but I'd learned all three, so I offered to do it, and they almost booted me because I, quote, wasn't healing the healer, when the green dragon's mechanic involves keeping up a hot on yourself while using your health as a mana pool to heal others. The healer didn't know that, and they were going to blame me for it. Oh man, I remember Oculus. Yeah, that was wild. People be tripping. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and log out there. We'll make the journey to Elwyn Forest next time. Okay. I think that's good for today. We did get to the stream goal. I busted out the guns. I'm gonna put them away now, and, you know. In fairness, if you can get an Akka group with 4 people who can do the flight stage, you're above average. Yeah. It was never that difficult to me, I guess. Oculus was the worst dungeon to get in randoms. Yeah. I remember doing a lot of Utgard Pinnacle. No. Utgard Pinnacle was the raid. We did Utgard Keep a lot. But yeah, anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out. It was a good show. I'll plan to see you all on Wednesday next week. I'm not streaming on Daylight Savings, so I'll see you Wednesday, unless you are joining for the Transatlantic Call-In Show, in which case I will see you tomorrow at noon. All right, bye everybody. Be good.